What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Resleevables Urza's Destiny Edition. I'm your host, Cedric Phillips, at Cedric A. Phillips on everything. I am joined by Patrick Sullivan at Basic Mountain on Twitter occasionally. And we are in the third and final set of Urza's Block, one of the most, acclaimed, well-known, infamous sets in Magic's history. We did Urza Saga. There's a lot of messed up stuff going on there. We did Urza's Legacy. I don't want to say as much messed up stuff there, but there was some messed up stuff going on there. In case any of you guys haven't watched those episodes, recommend that you do. Urza's Destiny, however, I thought there'd be more messed up stuff.
Well, it sort of highlights some of my critiques of the block as a whole.
Okay.
Because I see the comments on YouTube, like, how could you give Saga such a low grade? Clearly, there's a million busted cards. It's influential in a tournament sense.
Yep.
Absolutely true. But part of what I try to view through is, well, what's the new design space here? What can you take from this and learn from and add to the future?
Okay.
And in that respect, I think both Cycling and Echo are really rough.
Okay.
Even as someone who doesn't really believe in Cycling as a design, I know that I'm cooler on it than most game designers or professional Magic players. There isn't a ton of design space there, even if it's something that you like. You can talk about drawing multiple cards a turn. You can care about stuff going in the graveyard, but there's a lot of things you can do that care about that stuff.
Yeah, and they've done that stuff with Cycling over the past, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Just like drawing multiple cards in a turn or whatever.
Right. It's still just not the most fertile space. And an Echo is just really unappealing at a baseline. And so there's not that much there. What Urza's Destiny to me represents is like, we're kind of out of ideas here.
Yeah.
The two mechanics in question are barely featured here. To the extent there are cycles or new design space, it's completely divorced from the two sets that came before it. So Urza's Destiny has a lot of problems, but those problems are largely a function of the mechanics in Urza Saga, in my opinion.
Yeah, once we get to the cycles portion of the show, spoiler alert, you'll find that there is not a lot of Echo and there's not a lot of Cycling, as Patrick mentioned, which I was a little surprised about when I did my research on script writing for the show. Is it kind of non-existent to the point where I kept going over the set list on Scryfall, and I'm like, surely I've missed something.
Yeah, there's not a lot there.
Yeah, apparently I haven't. So maybe I did miss something and you'll mention in the YouTube comments, but I went up and down that set list like 4 or 5 times and I was like, this is weird that there's not more of the keyword mechanics in the third set, because when I think of a third set, when I think of a third set in a block, I think, the first set's going to establish the new mechanics. The second set will build on the new mechanics that they've unveiled in the first set. And the third set will kind of finalize and the final build to, in this instance, Cycling and Echo, and that's really not what happened here. So you're probably wondering what the heck did happen here. And that's the fun part that we're going to get into in just a moment. But as you know, to start any show, we must start with the facts. So we will do that for Urza's Destiny right now. All right, everybody, it is time for the facts of Urza's Destiny. But before we begin, we will start where we always do, by hearing about our friends over at Tales of Adventure.
You can head over to toamagic.com and check out a selection of over 77,000 SKUs in stock, including 80 pieces of the Power 9, every single revised dual land, and singles of all shapes and sizes and every format that Magic has to offer. Every order placed with Tales of Adventure comes with free tracked shipping. UPS next day and 2-day shipping is offered for orders placed before 8 a.m. And Tales of Adventure has completed over 1 million orders lifetime, so you know you'll be in good hands with Michael Caffrey and his staff. If you'll be attending an event that Tales of Adventure will be at, when you're checking out, you can select the event pickup option, so you can simply pick up the cards you've ordered right at the event that you'll be at. You can find a list of events that Tales of Adventure will be attending right on their homepage, toamagic.com. Lastly, when checking out, be sure to use promo code Resleevables to get 5% off your entire order. Tales of Adventure Eternal lives here.
Alrighty, the facts of Urza's Destiny. Let us begin with it being the 17th Magic the Gathering expansion. It was released on June 7th, 1999 in paper. The pre-release was May 29th, 1999, and I know that because it's on the Urza's Destiny pre-release card, which was...
False Prophet.
Don't kill that thing. Otherwise, all your stuff dies. I liked that card when I was a kid.
It's a very cool story.
Yeah. I don't think it was like good or anything.
No, there's just so many. Part of it is function of the time. Like Wrath of God's not even a card that showed up in Standard very much, just because what are you doing with creatures?
Yeah, sure.
And then this is that, but your opponent needs to cooperate or you need to be working very hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that are going to work with False Prophet are sacrifice a creature, right?
Yeah.
So what is the rest of your deck composed of? Like you have this Wrath, you have cards that are asking you to sacrifice creatures.
Yeah.
So you have to put other creatures into your Wrath of God deck.
So,
and you don't want Wrath of God in the first place.
So here's a really weird thought that I spur of the moment. Would False Prophet be good now?
There's probably stuff you could do with it.
Like in today's Standard, where it's more like Magic is more creature focused now.
I think my guess is there's just not enough rate here.
Okay.
Let's imagine it costs 3 mana, right? So
okay.
we just get we make it so it's different from Wrath of God. That's
Okay.
the thing. We need to like kind of get away from that mana cost in particular.
Okay, sure.
I think Magic is way more hospitable towards this sort of thing nowadays. There's creatures all over the place.
Yeah.
And value, engine, sacrifice, which is oven type of stuff. Like these cards have enough of a tournament pedigree at this point that you could imagine something like this being good.
Yeah.
You still have to parlay a bunch of different things and your opponent needs to be sort of playing along with you to make it work.
Yep.
But I think it's possible.
It's like, turn 3, just boom, False Prophet. Like, you want to attack me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably, because you got to like get through this thing, but then, it dies, it takes care of everything, and like we just kind of restart.
Yep.
Just kind of a weird thought, because Magic is way more creature-centric than, as Patrick mentioned, it was back back in the day with all the tinkers and stuff running around. Let's talk about who this set was designed by. Long list here, Mark Rosewater. That's it. Which is weird because this is the first set since Arabian Nights to have a solo designer. I'm going to quickly go through the developed by and art direction. Developed by is Mike Elliott. He's the lead. William Jokic, a new name here. Charlie, I'm going to go with Keldano. Paul Peterson, another name that I think is new to me in this space. Bill Rose and Henry Stern, and the art direction was by Ron Spears. But let's go back to designed by one person, Mark Rosewater, still with the company, by the way. Why would this happen? Why would one person be designing a set, especially when they've established that multiple people are designing sets for, I don't know, let's just call it like the past 2 or 3 years. I don't know the exact number, right? You can go back and look at the show's history, but multiple people are designing and developing sets. More importantly, multiple people are designing sets. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, solo design. Make sense of this.
I think this is pretty reasonable given the parameters of the time.
Okay.
You're talking about set 3 of a block.
Okay.
And so the mechanics are already done. We don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
In terms of cycling and echo. So slot those in.
Okay.
The set's really not that big. So any cycle that you come up with represents 3% of the total set, assuming that you can spread it across the colors.
Okay.
So that fills up pretty quickly. Cold Snap is a very good example of this.
The one and only.
Of just the set's so small that there's a bunch of cycles and then that's like kind of just the entire file.
Okay.
And I think there is some value in having a solo designer. Magic does things a little bit differently nowadays. And I can say from my time working over there in a remote capacity, I felt that their set leads were really overwhelmed with the amount of work that they had to do. Not just designing, but sort of logistics related around the advancement of the set through its development cycle.
Okay.
And having just more hands on deck is useful there, especially when you're talking about the sets are larger than Urza's Destiny. And we're not talking about 3 set blocks. So you actually need to come up with what are we doing in this set?
Sure.
Every single time, the way that Magic works nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Here, if you have a designer who you see as promising, you want to give them a responsibility and get them used to what the roles are when it comes to being a set lead, this is a really good place to do it. Small set, mechanics are already done. And depending on your head count, people are working on sets in the future. Maybe you don't have enough head count to allocate to this thing. I also think in terms of adhering to a creative vision, there's a lot of value in one person's in charge, because they're going to, for better or worse, have a sense of the total picture in a way that can be much harder to do when you have multiple designers working on the set in a design capacity.
Okay.
In addition, if a developer comes back and says, hey, this card, there's this problem here. What do you want to do? What's your vision for it? The more initial designers you have working on the set, the harder that feedback comes, because you don't know who came up with the idea.
It's multiple people you have to talk to.
Multiple people you have to talk to. You might not even remember who did what. It's just, it can slow down that process. When there's just one person in charge, it's, oh, okay, I didn't want it to work that way. Or my goal here was to make something really powerful. If you think that it's too strong, can we work together to preserve the idea that I had at a power level that you think is acceptable?
Sure.
So, the way it is nowadays, there's so much work. There's so many cards. You have a set lead, but you are going to have more initial designers sort of touching the product early on.
Okay.
At this time, I think you can get away with a solo designer for sure.
Well, they did, or at least they tried to. It feels like to me, someone who's never done this style of work before, it just feels like it would. My first thought is it would be overwhelming to be in charge of, hypothetically, in charge of all 143 cards. Now, to your point, 143 cards, probably not as many as I think.
No, because a lot of stuff just is nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Commons for draft.
Yep.
There's not a lot of pressure on them to be about any particular thing or be that creative. You're sort of looking for a broad balance of colors across the lower rarities in terms of draft appeal or power level or whatever. But
yeah.
At this era, that's barely a priority.
Yeah, it's much different now.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, when I found out that Mark did this set by himself as far as designing is concerned, because that's different from development and the development team, it felt like an overwhelming task. I also think your point about it's the third set, because this would probably be really tough to do by yourself. It's the first set.
Yeah.
And trying to say, hey, I'm introducing cycling, I'm introducing echo, and maybe introducing something else, who knows, right? I'm introducing some cycles and stuff like that. And I'm doing that all on my own. That's a much harder, the questions that you mentioned that someone may ask you, like, what's your vision for this and stuff? That's probably a lot harder to answer in the first go, as opposed to the third go. It's like, oh, well, I'm doing like this different take on cycling. It's like, oh, okay. That's an easier thing to answer, as opposed to like, what is cycling?
Exactly.
Right. So that makes some sense too. So like, there's no question that will be asked. Let's say if Mark Rosewater was in charge of just Saga and someone's like, hey, what if we made cycling cost 3? We make it cost 1. And there's like a lot of back and forth conversation. This time it's just like, okay, well, it's just going to cost 2.
Yeah.
So now what do we want to do with it?
I think a place where you might feel a little bit of that, it would be nice to have more people, more hands on deck when you're going back and looking at Urza's Destiny. Like Thorn Elemental is just a cool card that's its own thing.
Yeah.
The set does not have a lot of that.
That's
most of the cards are about something in particular. They are part of a cycle. They are whatever the case may be. Just here's a random thing that is its own thing. We could put it in any set, and some people are going to like this thing, and it's here.
Yeah.
Matt, I think that Urza Block is really lacking just, oh, here's a random thing. Everything is too much about the mechanics or what the creative space is supposed to be.
Okay.
There's not enough just offshot, here's a cool, fun card. It's part of the reason I also appreciate Yavimaya Hollow in the set. Set aside, I think you're supposed to have more lands than that. But it's like, oh, okay, that's just a random thing that's appealing.
That's like kind of a cool land.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Not like nothing like overpowered about it. It's just like kind of a weird land.
I feel like this block, the sets are kind of on top of themselves in a way that is not desirable, and they need more random, here's just a thing.
Okay. Well, there are some things.
And the more people that you have, the more likely it is someone's like, I have a cool idea for a random card.
Sure. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the more people you have, I don't need you to come up with 130 cards. Maybe just 4 cool rares that aren't about anything related to the block or the set or part of a cycle. Just, make me a Covetous Dragon. Make me a Thorn Elemental.
Sure.
And this block is really absent that sort of spirit.
Okay. No, that all makes sense. Let's talk about how many cards in the set. 143. Black border cards, 44 rares, 44 uncommons, 55 commons. We've seen that breakdown before, so that's nothing new to people who regularly watch the show. Urza's Destiny expansion symbol. Previous episodes, I said it was a beaker. Technically, it's I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. Erlenmeyer flask. It's a beaker.
Beaker.
Whatever, leave me alone. It's also meant to symbolize Urza's continued experiments in trying to defeat Phyrexia, like other things, like the gears from Saga and the hammer from Legacy. So Urza's going to stop that Phyrexian madness at some point, presumably. Urza's Destiny is the first expert level set to be printed under 6th edition rule changes, of which there were many, so this show will get to that eventually. And then let's talk about how Urza's Destiny was sold. 2 ways. Number 1, Crocodile. I'm not talking to the mic. I'm breaking the rules. All right, Crocodile's number 1. This card got the better of me. We're going to talk about the Croc a little bit later. 15 card boosty, 1 rare, 3 uncommons, 11 commons. Packs feature artwork from Emperor Crocodile. Do some light reading here. Magic the Gathering. In this strategy game, you play with decks of illustrated cards instead of a board. These collectible cards represent magical spells and fantastic creatures. If you haven't played Magic before, look for a Magic the Gathering starter level set, because remember, this is when they had the breakdown of Expert, Advanced, and Starter. Magic designed by Richard Garfield. Ever heard of him? Each player needs a deck to play. True. Well, sort of true. You can find ways to get around that.
All sorts of games you can play with the cards.
Yeah, you can do a lot of different stuff. What's under here? Anything? Let me see here. No, that's... Is that in English? No, it's a different language. Okay. And then it's got the P.O. box. It's got the P.O. box, which I always find to be funny in Renton, which is where they're still located. And words. Visit our website, www.wizards.com/magic. There you go. That's fun. So that's one way. Second way, 4 pre-constructed theme decks. It's game time.
Okay.
All righty. Urza's Destiny has 4 theme decks. 1 is monocolored and 3 are 2 colors. To my editor, John, I'm going to go in a different order than the script to try to trick Patrick. The first one is called Enchanter.
Green, white.
Try again.
Mono, white.
One more try.
Mono, green.
White, blue.
Okay, fine.
Quote, employs a variety of blue creatures who get even more powerful when enchantments are played, making the most of every spell.
Is it Fledgling Osprey time?
I have to check now. Hold on.
You play your cards right, you might get a flying man.
Is that the 1/1 for 1?
Yeah.
And then
it gets flying if it's enchanted.
Okay. What a deal. Urza's Destiny. I should have been more prepared. Fletch, I'm pretty sure it's in the deck list, I know the deck list is on screen and people are yelling at me. I don't care. I gotta go find the theme decks. Okay, Enchanter. Oh my, you 3.
Whew,
3,
yeah.
well done. Okay.
You got Sigil of Sleep?
You got is that a no? No way. 1.
You got to have the
there's
Sigil
one.
of Sleep. That's the dream right there.
So you got three Osprey, Will, 1 Sigil of Sleep, a Zephid's Embrace. There's a Confiscate, but that's not so much for your stuff. So, you know, just
Confiscate my Fledgling Osprey.
Dude, here to help. Get you for the last one.
Sigil of Sleep is actually pretty brutal in low power games. So I appreciate a soft touch with that one.
Yeah, I think, don't have a lot of those. And then there's like some interaction and stuff with like Miscalculate and Quash in the main deck of this.
Quash is another. Oh, I got bad news for you. If you're playing against the starter deck, they probably only got 1 or 2
Well,
copies.
it's gone. The rares in this deck are Rain,
okay,
Academy Chancellor, and Thrangullum, which you definitely want to play.
Oh, yeah, enchantments matter.
That's right. Get it?
Yeah.
You get it. All right, number 2. Let's go with Battle Surge.
Blue-red.
Wow. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well done. Quote, uses blue stalling tactics to hold off opponents while a host of red creatures without summoning sickness mount a decisive attack.
Mm-hmm.
The rares in this deck are Goblin Marshal
Okay.
and Urza's Incubator.
Okay.
What else we
Neither
got
of
here?
those things have haste.
I can't argue.
But does the Marshal have haste?
No, Echo.
No, yeah, it's Echo,
I
right?
can't argue with facts. Let's see. Haste creatures. We got 2 Goblin Berserkers.
Boom.
It's a 4-mana.
We got
2/2.
Kelton Champion in there.
2.
That was a beloved, kind of low power level budget constructed option.
I think this card was in Cube for a little while. I thought.
Sure. It's not. It's not the best 4-mana red card
No.
that does that sort of thing, but it's not embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like a 6-ball sometimes, and then you don't pay Echo ever. 3 Kingfishers.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Offense, defense.
That's back in the day, folks. 4-mana 2/2 flyer with something that happens.
Oh, that card was sick
Yeah,
in draft.
You played the hell out of those.
Yeah.
There's a Thundering Giant.
Okay.
That has haste. Wild Kolos 4.
Yeah.
4 of those.
It's a big part of the haste counterspell.
And 3 Arc Lightning.
Strategy.
Feels like a lot of Arc Lightnings to me personally, but that's fine. Do whatever you want. Okay, so yeah, they're trying to give some beatdowns.
That's just random cards.
That's
It's
true.
not a deck.
All right, that's true. Let's go with Assassin next.
Mono black.
That's correct. Quote, send in a swarm of small black creatures backed up with creature destruction and discard effects to put a hit on the opposition and keep them on the run. The rares in the deck are Attrition and Body Snatcher.
Okay.
Attrition is an extremely unfun card.
Yeah. This at least sounds like a deck.
So
The blue-white one had a little bit of that too. This blue-red one is just a heap of cards.
That's just cards. Okay, so you got like Looming Shades, Disease Carriers, there's a Bone Shredder, a couple Order of Yawgmoths, 4 Ravenous Rats.
Okay.
I'll draw first. Oh, here you go. This is a good experience for a starter deck. Got to really introduce him to 2 Dark Rituals. Let him know what's going on. Engineered Plague in the main. All right, sure.
Of a starter deck, I don't know what your creature types are.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Magic really. So pick a creature type.
So it's just turn 1 Ritual Engineered Plague and do your best.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine. There's an Eradicate. There's some random cards here. Scent of Nightshade. That's fine.
Yeah, this is not bad for the standards of the time.
4 Polluted Mire. 4 of those bad boys. And then last, but certainly not least, you'll be able to figure out at least one of the colors pretty quickly here. Fiendish Nature.
Fiendish Nature?
Yes.
Green black?
No. Got him.
Red black?
No.
Red green.
Green blue.
Okay.
Quote, uses fast mana sources to power a horde of green uglies with attitude. While a touch of... I screwed up. It's green black. I'm sorry. Keep that in. Keep that in. I screwed up. While a touch of black regrowth keeps the hits coming. The rares in this deck are Ancient Silverback and Pattern of Rebirth.
Cool.
Why did I write green blue? What am I doing? All right, yeah, green black. Ancient Silverback, one of my favorite cards of all time. I'm actually really glad it doesn't have Trample. I feel like it should be legendary though.
How come?
Just because of the name.
Ancient?
Yes.
I could see
Just
that.
because of the name. That's it.
What if it was called like, bananas, Ancient Silverback, or come up with a more serious name?
That's fine.
Then it is easily over the line.
Yeah, that's
for me.
fine. Because it's like Ancient Silverback, I have 2 in play. They can't both be ancient, can they?
Yeah, they can.
Eh.
My mom and dad are both ancient.
Are both
And
ancient.
then they hang out with each
That's
other.
all right. That's fine.
Yeah.
My parents too. Cradle Guard, the OG, 2 Gamekeepers, couple Heart Wardens, Hunting Moa, which we'll talk about more in the show. Some Plated Spiders, some Plague Dogs, Expunge, Symbiosis, Pattern of Rebirth, Twisted Experiment, or Rancor. Yeah.
We got any Heart Wardens in there?
Oh, 3.
Heart Warden, Pattern of Rebirth. Now you're doing it.
It's a combo.
That is a combo.
Can't get anything by you. A couple of Cycling Lands, a Polluted Mire, 2 Slippery Cars, 22 lands. So I like these decks for the most part.
The blue-red one is rancid. There's just nothing there.
Yeah,
The other 3 are at least trying to give you some experience of you have 2 cards and they work together somehow.
Yes, yeah.
Not boomerangs and Kelton Champions.
Yeah, haste, bounce. This is fun. Sigil Sleep with fledgling Will Offspray. Yeah. Urza's Destiny, final note here in the facts. Urza's Destiny had an official guide called the Urza's the official Urza's Destiny game guide, which we've gone over these game guides before. It was released in July 99. It was written by Duelist executive editor Will McDermott, who put together the previous two. The contents include a foreword by Mark Rosewater, the lead designer of Urza's Destiny, a short story called Phyrexian Autopsy, which recaps the dissection of Phyrexian Negator, delivered to Rain and Baron by Urza, sure. Card analysis and a visual card spoiler. So this was a thing. This was really a thing back in like the late 90s, 2000s. I've mentioned this before, but like they did it with card games, they did it with video games and stuff. I don't really think stuff like this exists anymore. I can't say that for sure, but like I bought a video game and now here's the book and the guide to go with the thing. Mm-hmm. The reason I don't think this stuff exists anymore, and YouTube, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is just you just look up the guide on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I actually think what would happen is like you buy the game and then like you buy it like GameStop or whatever, right? And the person that sells it to you is just like, oh, and like here's a QR code for the guide. Just like scan this on your phone and it'll take you to a link to the guide.
Yeah. Nintendo Power, I don't think is a thing anymore.
I just can't imagine that people are selling physical books that are game guides for any games or stuff anymore. It's lame. I like having physical things. I think I can just envision someone just being like, just take a photo of the QR code, man. And then you just go from there.
You have to remember at this time that Magic is a game that is played competitively for stakes, both locally and there is a Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And also, there's just not that much information out there.
Still.
You have the dojo as a website, but that's just people posting whatever they're going to post.
Okay.
And
was someone in charge of the dojo?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if it was just like a forum where people just posted stuff. This is a little before my time. I do have a small dojo story.
Okay.
Which is when I was growing up, my family didn't own, we didn't like own a desktop computer or anything, right? My best friend down the street, who I've mentioned on this show or our podcast, John Cross, he had one. So I would go down to his place most days and we would like play StarCraft and StarCraft 2 and like just whatever games he had on his computer. And he had a desktop down in his family room that we would just chill on and like eat bagel bites and play like Doom and all these other like old games on, right? My mom and dad got like a family, I want to call it, was it Macintosh? Is that the brand?
Sure.
Yeah. I think we got like a Macintosh computer, but it didn't have the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So what I got to do on that computer, I'm such a loser, is my mom had a Rolodex of recipes. Okay. And I would type the recipes into the computer, and that was really fun for me. So where am I going with this? So then my dad, he got a laptop for his work that could connect to the internet. And so when I found out about the dojo local store, I was like, Dad, can I use your computer? And naturally, he's like, for what? I'm like, I want to look at like this Magic website. But this is when, I don't know exactly how it worked, but like, definitely when you connect to the internet, it blocked the phone. Mm-hmm. But also maybe you had to pay by the minute.
We initially had a plan like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it was cheap.
No.
Yeah.
No, I got into really serious trouble.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I remember dial up, makes all the noise, blots the phone line, kind of expensive per minute. My dad's just like, you can be on the dojo for like 10 minutes or something, right? But what your parents don't know, but what they actually do know, is that when they're asleep, it's time to go on the dojo. And so that's what I would do sometimes at night on the weekends. Is I would go into my dad's office and just, my dad's office was below my parents' bedroom and we had creaky floors. So once I heard somebody moving around, shut it right off.
Right. Unfortunately, eventually they received the phone bill in the mail.
Yeah, that's how you get
that
caught.
Shows the time of all the calls and, 2:45 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Cedric, were you on the dojo?
I was asleep.
Worst things for kids to be doing on the internet during this time.
It's true.
My dojo story is that I got it firewalled at my high school. Hillsborough High School, 1999.
Yeah.
Just in the library all day long, just looking at the dojo.
Yep.
Any chance that I got, if I was there after school or whatever. And then one day it was just like,
MTG salvation for me. Firewalled. Yeah. Got in trouble with the school principal on that one. So, look, what else is there to do?
So if you're a little bit younger than me and you attended Hillsborough High School and couldn't get on the dojo, that's me. It's me. I did that. There you go.
So let's see. I don't think there's any other facts. I closed my laptop, so I got to reopen this thing. We went over the Duelist magazine and everything. So yeah, that's the facts of Urza's Destiny. Kind of light, not like a ton going on. Rosewater, the lead designer, but outside of that, not like anything crazy going on. No lore here through Saga Block. I've seen your comments. We'll see if lore returns soon enough. But for now, we're going to transition to the mechanics of Urza's Destiny right after this. All right, everybody, it is now time for the mechanics of Urza's Destiny. And as we mentioned already during the show, nothing really to note. Cycling and Echo are back, and we're going to go over those again. Again, if you haven't seen our Saga and Legacy episodes, 1, watch them. 2, if you've watched them already, you're familiar with these. And if you've been playing Magic for like even a little bit, you're almost certainly familiar with Cycling. Echo maybe less so, but here we go. Cycling, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, was created by Richard Garfield during Tempest Block. It's a keyword ability that allows a player to pay a cost that includes discarding the card. When the activated ability resolves, that player draws a card. There are 3 cards with Cycling in this set.
Really? Only 3?
Yeah.
I know I can remember one for sure.
Okay.
Trying to give me 2 seconds on this one.
Okay.
I only got one.
What's your one?
Rapid Decay.
That's the one everyone remembers because it's rare.
What a rare.
It's rare and it's
what a fun card to open.
it's rare and it's bad.
But you know what? It actually has a tournament resume.
Yeah, sure. You had to remove something from the graveyard.
There just wasn't a lot of this sort of thing going on at the time.
Yeah, you know, that's a thing. That's a thing that people probably don't realize because graveyard hate is so ubiquitous now that, yeah, like back in the day, and this is like around when I was playing competitive Magic. Patrick, obviously older than me and been playing longer than me, but like I remember the days when like, you know, I remember when they printed like Withered Wretch and you're like, holy shit.
Yo, yeah.
Look at this thing.
Look at this.
This thing.
Are you kidding me?
Chewing up the graveyard, right? Like stuff like this just didn't really exist. Now we have like Relic of Progenitus and like I think it's called Ghost Vacuum and Tormod's. Like there's a million ways to attack a graveyard.
1 mana, if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their graveyard, they lose the game.
Yeah, it's gone.
Draw a card.
Yeah, it's yeah,
or whatever. There's
gone.
a lot of that.
Yeah, that stuff wasn't really a thing back in the day. The 3 cycling cards, by the way, white had Fend Off. Blue didn't have one. Black had Rapid Decay. Red had Flame Jet.
Oh, Flame Jet. I forgot about that one.
Green, nothing lands, nothing artifacts.
You know
nothing.
why I forgot about Flame Jet?
It's
You
really
never
bad.
cycle that.
Does it deal 4?
It was 3.
Is it 3? Okay. I was maybe a little above my skis there. Let's take a look. I think it's like 2 mana sorcery deal 3. Maybe it's an instant. Yep. 2 mana sorcery, 3 damage to target player. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Not cycling that.
Yeah, any
No,
deck
thank
that
you.
wants that card isn't cycling that.
Well, yeah, you also just cycle into the same card.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't even know what the cycling is on there for.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, they didn't really. This is kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is just like they didn't really expand upon cycling. I guess that's not true. There's a thing later in this section I'm going to get to. It's cycling a Jace, but like only 3. They couldn't get one in each color. And I know you're the kind of a proponent of like you don't have to do one in every color, but like 3.
Yeah, it's a weird number.
Yeah,
It's a very weird number, and these designs are completely unrelated. Except, does Fend Off cost 2 mana?
checking.
Maybe that's the way they're connected.
Checking. It does cost 2.
Okay, so I guess you have that, but it's also, is it two commons and a rare?
Rapid Decay is definitely rare, so now the question is Flame Jet a common?
Flame Jet's a common.
Yeah, 2 commons and a rare.
Yeah, it's just very bizarre. I
Yeah.
think that, you know, I would probably say let's do, if we really want to cut back on this, let's do 5 uncommons. One in
Okay.
each color.
Okay.
That I think would be the right amount. This is just bizarre.
It is weird. And if I missed a cycling card, please tell me in the comments, because I went up and down this thing a couple of times. I'm on Scryfall in front of me, and I was like, only 3. I guess I only got 3. So
Very weird number.
let's go to Echo. It's a keyword ability on permanence that requires the permanence controller to pay its Echo cost at the beginning of their next upkeep after they gain control of it or sacrifice it. In Urza, Saga Echo was only on creatures, but Legacy expanded it to include artifacts, and in Saga Echo was mainly used to get a larger than normal bozo, like Cradle Guard or Albino Troll. Wasn't there another big one?
Pouncing Jaguar.
Oh yeah, that. Like
how big are we talking?
Wasn't there a 4-mana green one? No,
4-mana green creature with Echo.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, there was I don't know. I'm blanking.
There's some Centaur. No, I'm wrong. Okay, I could just be wrong. That's fine.
Critians and Cradle Guards and Bigos.
Okay, yeah. But in Legacy, most creatures had Echo. With Echo had average power and toughness, but like ETB abilities, like our buddy Bone Shredder and Raven Familiar and stuff like that. How many cards have Echo in this set? 4.
I think I know 3.
Okay, go.
Hunting Moa.
I know which one you're not going to get. Okay, yeah, that's correct.
Keldon Vandals.
Correct.
The artifact Buzz Cutter Machine. What is that thing called? Thran something or other?
Thran
Thresher?
Its name is Buzz Cutter Machine.
No, it's not.
It is Extruder.
Extruder, yes.
Well, you know the 4th one. I already mentioned it on the show. I already mentioned it today. It's red.
Oh, Keldon Champion.
Nope, you already said that one.
I said Keldon Vandals and Keldon Champion.
I may have missed one.
There's a Shatter. There's a Manic Vandal with Echo. There's the Champion.
Oh, see,
and the Goblin Marshal.
Okay, so here you go. This is perfect. I missed Keldon Vandals. Updating in real time.
Boom.
Keldon Vandals.
Who's cast that? I've cast that.
I missed it.
Two good deals.
So there's 3 red cards with Echo, 1 green card Hunting Mode, and then 1 artifact Extruder. So that means there's 5 cards with Echo. Unless I missed another one, then there might be 6. This is kind of the same story as cycling, in my opinion, which is they didn't really expand upon it. 1. Is this them saying that red is the Echo color? I don't really think so. But there's nothing in white, blue, or black with Echo.
Yep. It's hard to. I mean, if you're going to be that purposeful about it, it's just a red and green and artifact thing.
Yeah,
it's signaling something. But again, it's the execution's so scattershot that it's really hard to pull anything out of it.
That's how
just random cards. The rarities are all over the place. It's not as bad as the cycling execution as far as it goes, but it's still the same. What's going on here? Just some cards.
It just feels like a couple of cards have Echo in this set, and they didn't want to expand upon anything. Like you saw in Saga, let's establish Echo. Then into Legacy, we'll establish Echo with ETBs, right? And then this 3rd set, I don't necessarily know what the 3rd set jump should be, where it's like establish, now you got ETBs. You could argue that maybe the 3rd set, it should be leaves the battlefield effects on stuff that has Echo, maybe, right? I don't know.
Well, I think, doesn't Hunting Moa do that?
The Moa, 3 mana, 3/2. Whenever Hunting Moa comes into play or is put into the graveyard, there you go. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Okay. Let me check Extruder really quick too. Then
I think Extruder is just a beatdown artist.
Yeah, it's just 4 mana, 4/3 Echo. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact on target creature.
Just almost Juggernaut again. Can't quite give you Juggernaut, but we can get close.
They really like Juggernaut, a Jace. So Hunting Moa checks the box that I'm talking about. Hunting Moa just feels like a random insertion into the set. I don't know.
It's a great design. That card's super fun. I played we're sort of leveling up our games and we're playing, I would describe them, I guess, as FNM level decks.
Okay.
And we had Hunting Moa all over the place. That design's really fun.
It's a cool, fun card to cast. It feels green.
If Keldon Champion was I think you would want to get away from haste, but enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield. You could do the same thing with the Vandals. You could do more Hunting Moas here. That is an expansion of the space in a way that's really cool and fun.
Okay.
Because again, we're just trying to get away from I can't pay Echo, this sucks, my thing's dead.
Yeah.
And in Saga, that's the entirety of the experience.
Yeah.
Legacy gets you to in various forms and fashions, I'm drawing a card or getting some other advantage, like gaining life. So if I don't want to pay it, no big deal.
Like Avalanche Riders.
Yeah.
I killed their land. I dealt them 2 points of damage. Moving on.
Right. And so that expansion of space is really good, but that leaves you into a lot of, it's just different forms of draw a card. And Legacy has a lot of different forms of draw a card.
Yep.
Or kill a thing.
Yep.
Hunting Moa is that is a diamond in the rough here. You could have done so much with that technology if you said, oh, this is another twist on Echo, is leaves the battlefield, not just enters.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I think it's just that.
Yeah, I agree. I
mean, Keldon Champion kind of has a little bit of that experience because it's, like you hit and then it dies, but
yeah, it's such a different gameplay experience.
Right.
So.
It's much closer to Radiance Dragoons than Hunting Moa.
Yeah, I agree
and
with that.
Yeah. So a lot left on the table. Go back in time. It's funny going back when I go over these sets. It's like, wow, if they just realized how cool Hunting Moa was, this set could have been appreciably better.
I did more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. As it stands, it's just like a random one-off. That's like kind of a cool thing that I feel like they circled back to, like much later around like Time Spiral. Was it? What's the second set in Time Spiral? Planar Chaos. I'm thinking of Keldon Marauders.
Yes.
Where it's like, yeah, that had Vanishing though. It didn't have Echo. So that's not a great example, but it is like an enters the battlefield and leaves the battlefield. I think it like kind of has Echo in a weird way. Anyway, there's a cycling in play cycle. Like it's like a mechanic sort of. I don't even know how to explain this. There's a couple of cards in this set that have the ability to be sacrificed while in play for 2 colorless mana to draw a card. So it's like, you do this thing, you have this effect on the battlefield, and then when it's no longer useful, you can sacrifice it to draw a card. So it's not exactly cycling, obviously. But there's not one in every color. In white, there is Capuchin Standard. In blue, there's Illuminated Wings. In black, there's 2, Plague Dogs and Slinking Scourge. Red, sorry about that whammy. Green, Heart Warden, and then artifacts, nothing.
I think you might also be missing Yavimaya Elder.
Look at me.
This you
nailed it.
Maybe
nailed it.
You're getting a sense here. I played with these cards a lot.
yeah.
This was the first set that I was fully back into Magic. Like when I started going to the only game in town, Legacy had been out for like a month or two.
Okay.
So I was kind of playing catch up.
Okay.
This was the first set where I was active when it came out. And I haven't really taken a break since.
Oh my God. I missed another green card.
Oh, you got the Beetle?
I missed the Beetle too. I suck. Jeez. Unbelievable. All right, marker Beetles.
Like, oh yeah.
Some would say edit this. No, you leave this in. Here's why you leave stuff like this in, by the way, viewer at home. People aren't perfect. People make mistakes. This is me just fumbling and bumbling.
And I can sort of help edit this on the fly.
Yeah, that's fine. Because now it's like, did I miss a red card? Now I'm going to double check my work. I'm pretty sure I didn't, but I missed Keldon Vandals and Echo earlier. So I don't even know anything anymore.
I think you're missing an artifact too.
Oh my, there's no way. All right, what do you think it is?
There's like a brass student or brass something. You want to read that off to the listeners? Cedric, you want to read that to the listeners?
It's literally the only text on the card. Brass Secretary.
Secretary, that's right.
3 mana, 2/1.
Old Brassy.
2 sacrifice. I suck. All right, well, that's fine. That's fine.
Trying to think if there's any others. I think that's all.
There better not be.
Brass Secretary.
All right, let's update this. Way to go out with a bang here, Ced. Good job. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure there's no other artifacts. I think I got it. Does Massacre sacrifice and draw a card? No, it just does everything else. Okay, got it. All right, good job. What do you think of this random cycle of things?
Does a really good job of highlighting how not fun cycling is.
Okay.
These are like,
okay. Sure.
There's like a game you can play with them, and it's kind of interesting, and there's interaction points and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really bizarre to do this in the same block with cycling. Yeah. But I can appreciate, like, look, there's just not a whole lot here to work with. So if we can do things that are adjacent or kind of call outs, that's at least something that people can latch onto.
I can't believe I missed Yavimaya Elder because that card saw a lot of play.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a banger.
The rock staple.
Green Ancestral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, good thing to sacrifice to Cabal Therapy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I know about those days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The only other note I have here in the mechanics section is that Urza's Destiny introduced one new creature type. It's Gullum. Most notably, I would say Thran Gullum.
Yeah, really fun design.
That card's just cool.
Yeah, really, really fun card.
It's like completing a mission. You get the enchantment on this thing. We call them auras nowadays. +2/+2 gains flying, first strike and trample. Yeah, so just big.
Yeah, I think this might be the best design in the set. It's certainly on my short list. Part of what I really appreciate about it is that because it's giving you so much in numbers and keywords.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of auras do. You put on creatures.
Yep.
The embraces are a good example of this. You're kind of incentivized to actually find stuff that protects it somehow or gives you a hit trigger or something that's a little bit different than the enchantments you would typically play with I care about being enchanted sort of designs.
Controversial opinion that I just thought of right now. Thran Golem better served to be the artwork on the booster packs than Emperor Crocodile.
Yeah, so it's a cooler piece of art, and also it's actually about something in the set. Yep. There's an Enchantment Matters theme, or I care about being enchanted. This is the rare artifact. If you're doing any of the Enchantment Matters stuff or Aura Matter stuff, here's a piece to build around.
Yep.
And Emperor Crocodile is like, 4 mana, 5/5, enters the battlefield, it's dead.
No slight to the Croc.
No.
The Croc is cool, and the artwork is super cool. But Thran Golem, I think, might just be cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought of that right now. All right, enough of mechanics and me screwing them up. I can't wait to go to Cycles and see if I got them right. We'll find out right after this. All right, everybody, it is now time for the Cycles of Urza's Destiny. But first, we are going to tell you more about our friend Brian Colville and his YouTube channel, Bosch Enroll.
Head over to youtube.com/BoschEnroll to watch Eternal Constructed Specialist Brian Colville play a new Eternal deck every single weekday. With over 1,000 videos in his YouTube archive, if there's a certain Eternal card or deck that you want to see in action, Brian has almost certainly played with it, and there will be video for you to watch of it. Best of all, Brian is outrageously good at Magic, as he's a SCG Tour Invitational Champion, a Grand Prix Champion, and an Eternal Weekend Vintage Champion. YouTube.com/BoschEnroll, where Magic history is played every day.
Urza's Destiny. I don't like that one. This one instead has 4 cycles, and they're kind of lame. So
there's one really good one.
Good one in what regard?
Appealing, fun, adds design space to Magic generally.
Okay. Well, let's see which one Patrick thinks it is. Is it the Sense?
It's not.
It's not the Sense. Okay.
Oh, there's a Sen, all right.
Each of these common instants or sorceries have effects that are proportional to the number of cards of their color you reveal from your hand. Scent of Jasmine, Scent of Brine, Scent of Nightshade, Scent of Cinder, and Scent of Ivy are the 5. Let's read one of them. I'm going to read, they're all bad, but let's read Scent of the White one, which is, wait for it, Jasmine. Okay, scroll up. Here it comes. Single white instant. Reveal a number of white cards in your hand. You gain 2 life for each card revealed this way. Okay, so this is like a precursor to the Martyr cycle.
There's a little shades of that.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. That's the white one. Let's see. Blue one, Scent of Brine.
Yeah, that's a mana leak or spike for each blue.
Yeah, okay, well done. Oh, you think you know them. Okay. What's Scent of Nightshade do?
-X/-X.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay. Scent of Cinder.
X damage.
Mm-hmm. Scrolling. To what?
Player
or creature. I was a little surprised.
That was a trick question because I just said deal damage.
You get it.
So the default is that's correct, and then you try to trick me.
I did try to trick you. Scent of Ivy.
That's the green one?
Yeah.
The pumps giant growth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got them right. All right, these are lame?
Well, yes and no.
I think these are fine.
These designs, I think, are fine. It's a little weird to make a monocolor enablers this forceful in a set and block that really doesn't speak to colors at all.
Okay.
And if anything is artifact themed. So that part is
Is it artifact themed?
In some respects,
it was supposed to be enchantment themed.
There's at least shades of it.
Okay.
I think the experience of just revealing your hand is not super fun for either player.
Okay.
It's like I have to show you all this information and then you're burdened with tracking it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird also that some of these designs are basically you just want to go as hard as you can. Like Scent of Jasmine. Obviously I just want to gain as much life as possible.
Absolutely.
And then you're looking at designs like Scent of Nightshade and Scent of Brine, where it's like, okay, if I have 3 blue cards in my hand, I only need to do this for 2. What's the blue card I don't want to show my opponent?
Okay, sure.
So it's a little weird that they all either don't like I think either all of them should scale, like just show everything, or be more tactical, figure out which ones you're kind of holding back on the information.
Okay.
And it's a little bit weird that there's a blend of both of them.
Like, as an example, the white one, I don't think they're really doing this sort of thing at this time, but I can't say for sure. But anyway, like the white one could be deal X damage to target attacking or blocking creature.
Yeah, give your creatures plus O plus X this turn.
Yeah.
There's ways you could do it.
Yeah, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down there.
Yeah.
That makes some sense. They're fine. I am curious about the experience of a non-competitive player with the revealing hand experience. So like, competitive players, it's like you reveal your hand. It's like, all right, let me get my sheet of paper and write them down. Or it's like, I'll play face up, whatever, right? If you're playing like F&M or just a non-competitive setting and you have this sort of card and it's like, okay, I'm going to reveal this stuff. Is someone in that setting going to be like, well, can I write your cards down or anything? And it's just like, oh, cool. You have those cards in your hand and just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, my experience with these cards at F&M level, casual drafts, whatever, was most players, if there was a trick in your hand, they would remember, oh, they got Giant Growth, they got Expunge, they've got Symbiosis.
Yeah.
Any random creature they were likely to just sort of not care about.
Okay.
Even if it was important to like pay attention to what the creature was.
Okay, fair enough.
Another thing that is rough about this cycle is they are at common.
Yeah.
And there's just you should not be doing monocolor enablers this heavy-handed at common unless that's literally what the set's about.
Which the set's not about.
Yeah, if you get to the Shadowmoor or Eventide sort of thing, then yeah, sure, that's sort of the conceit of the block.
Okay, yeah.
This is just, these don't really work in draft.
Sure. Yeah, no,
It's like,
that's
okay,
true.
so I have 1 red card in my hand and 2 green ones.
Yeah, because you're going to be
So I could
multiple
Scent of
colors.
Cinder for 1 or Scent of Ivy for 2.
Boom.
And I had to hold cards back in my hand to maybe be able to do this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's something, I don't mind these designs insofar as I think the Seers are a million times worse.
Okay.
But these are brutal comments.
Well, let's get to the Seers then.
Okay.
Because that's the
Let's
next
talk about
cycle.
the
Here we go. Let's see what these bozos do. I got 5 of them. Each of these uncommon 1/1 wizards have an activated ability that costs 2 plus the color, and then you tap it. So the white one is 2 plus a white, so 3 mana tap, and then you get an ability that mimics the scent. So there's Jasmine Seer, there's Brine Seer, Nightshade Seer, Cinder Seer, and Ivy Seer. So as an example, Jasmine Seer between us probably. 4 mana 1/1. 2 and a white, tap, revealing number of white cards in your hand. You gain 2 life for each card revealed this way. That's not very good.
They just cast the sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then Brine Seer. They're all 4 mana 1/1s?
Yeah. You know why they're 4 mana 1/1s?
Because they're wizards?
Because when they're powerful,
Okay.
they just lock the game. It's just like permanent game 10, permanent mana leak, permanent Visara, like you can't attack or block for the rest of the game. Like Scent of Ivy is the only one that you can actually like have a game against if it's active.
I processed these wrong.
Happens to a lot of people.
I thought you had to sacrifice the Seer.
No.
Okay, yeah, these are not fun. Never mind.
It's good to make them weak because they're so miserable.
Yeah.
But maybe do a different design. For as bad as the scents are, these are so much worse. It's like, can you please stop showing me the same 5 white cards every single turn? And like, I already know what's there. It's not an interesting game the second or third or fourth time a Seer gets activated.
Yeah.
And also, when they're good, the game is over.
Yeah,
they're not good very often.
That's really true.
They are weak, so it doesn't come up all that often. But when it does come up, they're all
over.
lights. 4 of the 5 of them are complete lights out.
Yeah, the only one that's not lights out is the green one.
Yeah, the green one, you could have that going when we can still maybe play a game.
Yeah.
The other one is just Visara, unlimited different Visara, unlimited Gerard's Wisdom, and permanent counterspell. It's great. Awesome. You want to? I'll show you these again. Look at these.
You don't need to write them down.
I'll write them down.
I'll play face up. I'll happily play.
These
face
are
up.
these are atrocious designs.
I thought for sure you had to sacrifice.
No. Yeah, these are so. But I do appreciate. I'll I like to call out the good with the bad. Someone had to say no. These things are going to be 4-mana 1/1s. They're going to be weak.
Yeah, they have to be. You have to be able to interact with them.
They had to be unappealing and weaker than they quote unquote need to be.
Yeah,
because the downside risk on all these designs is so extreme.
Yeah,
that like we shouldn't do it, but if we're committed to doing it, they have to suck.
Yeah,
and there's places where Magic has failed that test.
That's very true.
Now the Seers, if they were 2-mana 1/1s, we would talk about them as some of the most miserable draft non-rares of all time.
That's definitely true.
Instead, we talk about them as like a funny joke.
Yeah.
You get to look back and like, haha, what were they thinking?
They remind me a little bit of the Invokers.
Yes.
It's like in that space.
Right.
Kind of. Where like they're weak, but like once you satisfy the necessary thing, it's like this is a ton.
Yeah. The thing about the Invokers they are still, first of all, since they're kind of self-contained for the most part.
Yeah.
You have a lot of interaction points with the thing.
Yeah.
Some of the red ones that Lava Axe have moments of not having that experience, but the ones that are like pump myself, okay, that can be super good.
That's fine.
But like the game still plays as it normally does.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is the ambiguity of, are you going to get to 7, 8, 9 mana, whatever the thresholds are? You play it on turn 2, and now you have a decision about, well, do I want to trade or I want to try to hold off and see if I can get there?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever decision you make gives me some information about your hand or your gameplay or game plan rather. So there's like a good game there, even though they have moments of being kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
These are just like, well, once you untap, you've shown me your hand. Your hand is likely to only improve as it relates to the Seer over time because you just keep drawing white cards.
Yeah.
There's no hope of, okay, well, maybe Cedric doesn't just get to 8 mana this game and it's just a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Which is the thing the Invoker does. The first time it happens, you know for sure you are locked out, but there's still like, I guess I can keep playing. I guess maybe they have to start casting their spells at some point or whatever. Maybe I draw a removal spell for their Jazzin Seer and they're at 60 and I can try to like work this thing down or whatever.
Sure.
Really bad.
Let's go to the growing creature enchantments.
I forgot about this cycle.
Each of these uncommon auras gains a counter at the beginning of your upkeep. These were inspired by Legacy's Allure, from
great card to take inspiration from.
From Tempest. We have Archery Training, Private Research, Festering Wound, Incendiary, and Momentum. I'm going to start with the green one here, Momentum. 2 and a green enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a growth counter on Momentum. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each growth counter on Momentum. Okay. What's my red one here? My red one is Incendiary. That one is a single red enchant creature at the beginning of your upkeep. You may put a fuse counter on Incendiary. When an enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, Incendiary deals X damage to target creature or player, or X is the number of fuse counters on Incendiary. Okay, sure. I see what's going on.
Fine
here.
Design.
Yeah, these are whatever, right? Because like their auras weren't nearly as good way back when as they are now. It was actually kind of, I don't want to say it was like stupid to play an aura back in the day because of, you get like 2 for 1 all the time, but these don't strike me as particularly good.
No, I do think there's a problem here with the incentives on a lot of these is don't attack, don't block.
Yeah.
That's certainly the case with the blue one. The green one is at least paying you off with, well, this becomes a better attacker, so I'm incentivized to just keep attacking with the thing. Maybe I have to take a turn off here or there if the numbers line up the right way, but I still get most of what I'm getting out of this card involves engaging in combat.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, fine. The blue one is a very extreme, like don't do anything. And on the other side, once we hit the inflection point of this card's going to be powerful, you're in no attack, no block land because you can't allow you can't let it fire off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
But I don't think these are. I think the green one's a good design. I think the rest of them are a little troubled, but I do appreciate. Hey, let's make an enchantment in the enchant creatures matter set, and let's make something that pays you off over time. Because the whole, like what we're trying to do here is the auras make your creatures more durable or more sustainable. They're not just about bursting people down.
Yeah.
And so something that says, hey, you're planning on having this thing around for 3, 4, 5, 6 turns kind of speaks to the experience they're going for here.
Oh,
I think the execution is fraught in a couple places, but I think it's a solid idea for what the set's going for.
All right, last cycle. This is probably the good one you were talking about. The lobotomy spells.
These rule.
Each of these uncommon instants and sorceries removes a permanent of a certain type from the game. See ya. Then removes all other copies of the card in its controller's graveyard, hand, and library from the game. Inspired by Lobotomy from Tempest. And the cycle is reprinted in Betrayers of Kamigawa. What a set. All right, let's see if you can name all 5. White.
Scour.
Blue.
Quash.
Black.
Eradicate.
Red.
Sowing Salt.
Green.
Splinter.
5 for 5. Easy does it.
Played it with a lot of these.
These were cool.
So much fun. And you're paying a premium, but a casual player can look at it and say, I understand why I'm paying the premium.
Yeah.
This is so awesome when it happens.
Yep.
And the time this comes up in constructed, it's like, thank God this is here. Because there's a single card that's so problematic. One of my first FNM wins, not tournament wins, literally beat a soul.
Okay.
Involved splintering their Masticore with my green-white deck. And yeah, it could have been any sort of shatter. Would have been good enough there because I just had the one Masticore in play and none in their hand. Yeah. Didn't have to be it, but the experience of splintering it, going through their deck, pulling them out, like I just blew up $80 worth of Masticores with my uncommon or whatever. That was if I think about maybe top 5 moments where I'm like getting hooked in Magic, splintering my opponent's Masticore really high on the list.
So what I'll say to these is it's a really unique gameplay experience. This is what makes Magic great, because when you are on the receiving end of this effect and it's good, it feels like you got the wind knocked out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then when you get somebody with the effect, it feels like you just ruined them and you're so happy. So, Tron player for a long time, getting so insulted, just, damn it, you're just mad, right? And then the person who so insults you is just like, obviously really happy. Or, not that I play with these styles of decks very often, but like getting a relevant spell quashed is like, oh my God.
Yes.
Now I think there's like a 2-mana version of Quash now. I can't remember the name of it. It's probably between us right now. There's a part of me that likes it at 4 mana as opposed to 2, just because like 4 mana is like you were really going for it. And obviously, Quash is 20 years old or whatever, right? But I just remember getting quashed and it's just like, God damn it.
So there's a reason Magic nowadays goes much more to these effects are cheaper. And if you happen to clip copies in their hand, they get to draw cards to replace them.
Yeah, they do that stuff a lot more now.
Because it is, to the extent there's an issue with these designs, is you're reading the thing and it says, okay, well, this problem is handled forever.
Yeah.
What happens in reality is so much of the rate is tied into, did I just randomly KO 2 Masticores in your hand?
Yep.
Along with the Masticore that was in play.
Yep.
You really don't need it to be balanced around that. You can just say, all right, the experience is get rid of this card. That's already satisfying enough for me. You typically, the spots where you have exposure to Quash or Splinter, it's not like you could have done anything different. You just drew the card you drew.
Sure.
So we don't need to just knock you out of the game. It's bad enough that your favorite card you can't play with for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
We also don't need to mind twist you 10% of the time also.
Sure.
So just let them draw some cards and, it sort of flattens out that emotional range a little bit that you were speaking to.
Yeah, because the emotional range on that stuff is like when it's good and it destroys you, it's just like, I don't want to play the game anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. Like, I will or whatever. But like, getting like deep analysis quash is like, okay, I'm going to go throw up. Like, you win.
Right.
Sort of thing. So, yeah, I think they're cool designs. And the reprint in Betrayers of Kamigawa, which I was playing competitively back then, I didn't really remember that happened until I researched it, but like pretty cool that happened. So
Sowing Salt is also, there's obviously the design is fraught in some respects, but I do appreciate the sensibility of, we just made these really busted lands. We're starting to do more and more of that.
Yeah.
If you kind of go back to early Magic compared to Wrath Cycle Urza Block, there's just more Ancient Tomb, City of Trader, Cradle, Academy. Backstopping that a little bit is nice. And it's also, exactly who you're going after.
Yep.
This is not, if you're just random person at the store with your green deck, they might not be able to cast it against you at all. And if they can, it probably doesn't matter very much.
Yeah.
Get your Treetop Village or whatever. Sucks, but life goes on.
Yep.
But in a tournament setting, there's obviously some people who you really want to go after with this sort of thing. And it works a good percentage of the time against that opponent.
I will say, again, as former Tron player, I never really got upset when I got Sowing Salted. Obviously, like, if you know me, I'm hyper competitive, but I never really got upset when I would get like obliterated by someone playing Tron, because it's like, yeah, you meant it.
Right.
Like, you came here to kick specifically my ass.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, if you want to sleeve up whether I think registering Sowing Salt is correct or not doesn't matter, because I can appreciate someone that's just like, I don't want to lose to you. I brought cards specifically to beat you, and then I drew them and I did that. It's like, okay.
The night before the tournament, they were in their hotel room joking with their friends, talking about what if you get to Sowing Salt a Tron player?
Yeah.
And then it happened.
Yep.
And right or wrong, in sort of a game theory analysis, should have this card been in your sideboard? No one cares.
Yes.
You can't talk. If someone's Sowing Salt's a Tron piece, you can't tell them that it was bad.
Nope.
You can't tell them that it was actually, you need Fulminator Mage because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
No.
They don't want to hear it.
No.
And you saying it doesn't matter.
Yeah. How could you possibly prove them wrong after what's just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no real conversation to be had. Like, you can be upset. That's really all you can be. Yeah. So yeah, I never actually got too frustrated when that sort of thing happens. So I'm like, yeah, you came for me and you got me. And to be fair, I've been on the other side of that stuff too. So, like I've registered like COP red or whatever. It's like, yeah, I'm looking for you, gruel human. That's fine. So, if you're going to do it, might as well just do it.
It was a very, this was Grand Prix Kansas City.
Okay.
This was later down the pipeline, maybe about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But I was playing, I forget, some burn. I think it was not good. I had Torpor Orb in my sideboard.
Okay.
Ostensibly for Splinter Twin.
Okay.
And other stuff that comes up. So round 1 off my buys, playing against Cloudstone Curio.
Oh, they can't beat that.
So I cast a Torpor Orb.
Yeah.
My opponent plays like an Elvish Visionary and goes to draw a card. I'm like, no. And then the next turn they played something else that was also an ETB. And I was, no. So they call over a judge.
Okay.
And the judge goes, so how do these two cards interact? Pointing to the Elvish Visionary and the Torpor Orb.
Okay.
And the judge goes, well, Elvish Visionary is a trigger that occurs when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Torpor Orb prevents that trigger from happening.
Yeah.
My opponent goes, okay. And they point to a card in their hand I can't see.
No.
What about this one? And they go, that is a triggered ability created by that entering the battlefield. And this is repeated like 2 more times.
Yeah.
Opponent concedes.
Yeah.
Picks up Torpor Orb, puts it back down, and goes, hell of a card.
Yeah.
It's like, buddy, this was not meant for you.
Yeah,
this was not meant for you. I'm sorry about this splash damage.
Yeah.
But yeah. So sometimes you got the bullseye on you. It just happens that way.
Hell of a card. It can be.
Hell of a card.
It can be. Tell you what, other times it can be completely useless.
Oh yeah.
That's what
including against Twin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It might do nothing against them.
Yeah, but
depending on how their draw lines up.
There is not a way for Cloudstone Curio to sideboard to be good against that card.
Yeah, that's true. Those are the, what are we, cycles? Yeah, those are the cycles. We're all done with all 4 of those guys. So short break, and it's time for not as much trivia as you would think right after this. All right, everybody, let's attack the trivia of Urza's Destiny. I said to close out the cycles that there's not as much as you think there might be because I didn't really find very much. We got notable cards and ban and restricted, but as far as like trivia or mistakes or anything like that, I got a donut here for you. So let's go over ban and restricted cards instead. We'll start with a card we haven't really talked about yet on today's episode. Yavimai's Bargain. It was banned and extended in August 1999. It was banned in Legacy and restricted in Vintage in September 1999, and banned in Commander in May 2006 with an unrestriction in Vintage in August 2017. So, for those of you who have never had the opportunity to play with Yawgmoth's Bargain, much like myself outside of like Vintage Cube, but also that's not really like my style, I can't really speak towards the experience outside of its, I'm going to say, fixed necropotence. You can push back on that if you'd like. I don't think that's a great way to describe that.
It's not. It's bad in a different way.
Okay.
They had some overlap.
The only thing I know about Bargain is reading about it, watching people play it on like grainy videos, and knowing that it was really good.
Okay, I'll walk you through it. I was there at the time.
Okay.
So remember, Dark Ritual,
Legal.
Grim Monolith,
Legal.
Voltaic Key,
Legal.
Yawgmoth's Will,
Legal.
Vampiric Tutor, legal and standard.
Okay, sure.
Hell yeah. Since Justice in 6th edition, okay?
Sure.
So it's just some of the most busted cards of all time.
Okay.
All legal. And you won on turn 1 in standard some amount of the time.
Okay.
Not a lot, but it was possible.
Okay.
You might ask yourself, what was the kill condition in this deck? Remember, was it? Do you have a guess?
Okay. My brain is telling me it was Soul Feast or Soul Burn related.
Great. So Soul Feast is a critical part of the engine.
And that's in this set.
Correct. It's uncommon.
Yeah. Between us, 5 mana, 3 BB. Target player loses 4 life. You gain 4 life.
Correct.
Okay.
So you have all this mana, burst of mana.
Okay.
You play Bargain, draw 19 cards.
Okay.
How do we convert this into the mana and cards required to actually kill your opponent?
Okay.
Scourge Familiar.
All right, I have to Google that. I think that's from Urza's Saga.
Correct.
Okay, Scourge Familiar. It's also in Modern Horizons 2, apparently. Sure. Oh, discard a card, add a black. Okay.
So 5 mana, 3/2 flyer.
This card stinks.
This is how the peanut butter and jelly come together.
Okay.
So you draw a bunch. If you get to 5 mana, you can cast Scourge Familiar. Now we're talking.
Sure.
Now you can discard all the extra cards to Soul Feast.
Okay.
Draw 4 more, convert, and eventually Yawgmoth's Will back your Soul Feast and kill them.
Okay, sure. This sounds so lame.
Yeah, it takes a really long time.
Yeah.
Given that you're drawing your whole deck, it does take a long time to kill someone.
What would be a name of a bargain deck I could Google?
ID 19, I think is Zvi Moshvitz's bargain deck, but that might have been Block.
All right, let's see if I find
I think that
something.
might have been the Delusions of Mediocrity show and tell kind of version of it.
Damn, hell of a memory. Delusions.
Dojo, Firewall.
Bargain.
This is seared into my memory.
Grim Monolith, Mox Diamond, Scroll Rack, Voltaic Key, Vamp, Turnabout, Intuition, Dark Writ, 1 Blaze, 3 Show and Tells. Oh, I guess you could Show and Tell this stupid card into play, right? 1 Yawgmoth's Will, City of Brass, City of Traders, Crystal Vein, Root Water. Oh my god. Okay, sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this Delusions of Mediocrity?
Yeah, there's 3.
Okay.
Okay. All right, this is a way to do it.
Yeah, so you have this, and this is sort of the way the deck exists until the end of the block. You get to Mercadian Masks. Now Renounce is in the picture.
Yep.
And it looks very different. Another thing about Renounce is that it's very good with Academy Rector, which is now gives you another way to get your
you
bargain into play.
Sacrifice that thing. Yeah. Okay.
So there you go.
All right. This is pretty lame.
Yeah, I mean 6 mana versus 3, that's certainly a difference, but it's not that common for someone to play Necropotence and kill you that turn.
Sure.
It often requires the untap because of when you get the cards and committing all the mana and all that.
All right, so I'm seeing a little bit of with some bargain Googling here.
Yeah.
With Mass Block legal, you had Phyrexian Tower.
Yep.
And Peat Bog. And Remote Farm.
That's right.
So you had ways to sacrifice the Rector because of Phyrexian Tower and Renounce, as you mentioned. Yogg-Will, Soul Feast, Vamp Tutor just
get to that one soon.
What are we doing?
Well, you know, and they're
doing.
Well, they reprinted all of them. How are you not going to do it?
No, you're right. You're right. Tooth of Ramos.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Tooth of Ramos is a sicko.
All right, just put that in there. That's from Mercadian.
Some nice rare.
Yeah.
Really nice rare,
Sure.
but actually was very powerful in a variety of decks.
Okay, so I envision someone casting Rector and just being like, "Oh, cool. So you can't attack anymore." And I'll figure
if you were even attacking in the first place.
I'll figure out a way to sacrifice this, put Bargain into play, and once Bargain's into play, it's just over.
Yeah, so the floor on Academy Rector is Moat.
Yeah.
And then if you have Tower or Renounce, it's just, over.
Okay. So that's a
lot of mana too.
That's a little bargain history.
Remote
Okay.
Farm.
Let's talk about Metalworker. It was banned in Extended and Legacy in September 2004 and banned in Commander in 2009. It was unbanned in Legacy in June 2009 and unbanned in Commander in September 2014. So an Extended doesn't matter anymore. So it's like legal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a point in time when Metalworker was really good. I think we're past that point.
Yeah, I mean it's major opportunity. The problem with Metalworker is the floor is so low.
Sure,
and also the characteristics of it exacerbate your worst draws. The mono brown stuff is already kind of subject to mulliganing a lot because you need the mix of mana and things to pay off.
Yeah,
and Metalworker is a brutal card to mulligan with when it's in your deck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So like when it's high ceiling, very low floor.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And those cards have a habit of being beloved and overestimated even by good players.
That's true.
That's part of the reason to do it. I also can appreciate doing Metalworker because you got the hand, you got the sense and the seers or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just like sit around and pay attention to what cards got revealed.
Sure.
And this is like, these are all coming right now.
Yeah. You don't have to write them down because I'm about to play them. Yeah.
You don't need to pick up your pen.
That's true.
I'm adding 12 mana and I'm about to play 12 mana worth of stuff.
Sure.
I do appreciate that at least.
Lastly is Rafellos Llanowar Emissary, which was banned in Commander as a commander in March 2007. Then it was unbanned in Commander as a commander in March 2009. Then it was rebanned in Commander as a commander in June 2010 before being banned entirely in Commander in September 2014. I don't think Rafellos is in the spirit of Commander. As you know, I'm not a Commander player per se, but this card as a commander is not okay. And so it's probably just better off. It's just like, I think if you're not going to have it be a commander, fine. It's lame when someone just goes like turn 2 Rafellos, har, in the same way that I believe it's lame if someone plays a turn 1 Soul Ring, but apparently it's fine. People are fine with Soul Ring.
This is just, it's such a different animal when it's the commander. A balancing mechanism for Soul Ring, whether or not you think it should be legal or not, is your opening hand doesn't contain it that often.
Yeah.
When it's your commander, it's such a different level of repetitiveness. And also, Rafellos is so explosive.
Yeah.
Because if you have like a Lightning Greaves or just anything that lets you do it the turn of, or things that untap creatures, whatever, there's so many things that interact with it that it actually blends the worst of both experiences. This is a cheap commander. It keeps coming down. You keep having to kill it on the spot. And it's cheap enough that, 4 mana, 6 mana, 8 mana, I can kind of keep putting pressure on people to interact with this thing. And also some amount of the time is I set up shop ahead of time where I cast it and do everything in one turn.
I'm good. Like, I think it is a commander, lame. It being legal in Commander, I think maybe arguably, maybe not. I can't really speak to it. I can't speak to it in a way that's definitive like I would other things because I haven't played enough Commander to know. So I just say, you know what? If you guys just want to say wash your hands of it, good with me.
Well, when you shuffle it, when it has to be in your deck, two good things happen. One, you have to draw it. And two, if someone kills it, you have to work pretty hard to get it back most of the time.
Sure.
And that's just not true of the things that get to be commanders.
Yeah, we agree. I'm checking just one thing really quick, make sure I'm not a bozo. Given my performance on today's show, I'm just making sure it's banned. Okay, it is. It is. Okay. All right. Let's go into notable notables. Well, we just talked about Academy Rector a little bit. It got bargain. Probably, I don't want to say like the most, but
I mean, in competitive settings, people had sneak attack decks that involved Academy Rector. A lot of things you can do with it, obviously. You could play with Pattern of Rebirth and some sort of Sacrifice Matters, like Lego set of building enchantment and creature sort of stuff.
Sure.
There's a lot you can do with it. Bargain crowded out a lot of it, but
I think it's a cool card.
Yeah,
You're just not doing anything honest with it.
It's just too extreme.
Yeah.
I think there's if Academy Rector came into play tapped, I think that would be pretty close to a thing that you can do. I still don't think you're supposed to be cheating mana that much.
Okay.
And tutoring, like cheating mana and tutoring is a very dangerous combo. But so much of it is just you can't attack on the ground for the rest of the game. Sure. And that part is pretty easy to fix.
Next up is Opalescence. I think first mention on today's episode. It's a weirdo, but it's good with the next card, which is Replenish.
Yes, that was a deck with another favorite of mine, Attunement.
Yeah, from Urza Saga.
And then when we get to Nemesis with the Parallax enchantments, and that deck was very, very good.
That is like the first deck that when I was young, there were two decks when I was young that I really wanted to own. One was Replenish, which I never got fully there with like anything I wanted to own really. But one was Replenish where I was like, this is so cool. You just bring all these things back and they're just so dead. And then two was Miracle Grow in Extended.
Yeah.
But that's when the duels were like, I want to say like $20.
Sounds about right.
Like Tropical Island and Tundra and stuff like that. And the deck only had
they rotated out of Extended, now they're useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well.
The deck only had like 8 lands or something, right? Wasn't that
12?
It was like 8 or 12?
10, maybe 10, and it had land grant.
Yeah, so it felt doable to just go like the most expensive cards in the deck are the dual lands. I just got to get those, and I think I got like 2. I think I got like 1 Trop and 1 Tundra, but you know, like you're a broke kid, what can you do, right? But yeah, Replenish decks, so cool.
Opalescence also a hallmark of some of the most complicated rules interactions in all of Magic, alongside Humility.
Yeah,
how does that work? Don't ask.
For being honest, no one knows.
One Wizards insider told me that they like the level 5, like the actual you can head judge Pro Tour level understanding of the rules.
Okay.
Was basically the level 5 test it was basically just all Lycids and Humility Opalescence questions.
Sure. You answer these, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one knows.
Let's go on to blue.
Okay.
Donate.
Had a bit of a tournament resume alongside Illusions of Grandeur.
Yeah.
The deck had 2 kill conditions involving Donate.
Okay.
The first one, you play Illusions of Grandeur, you gain 20, obviously powerful with Necropotence.
Yep.
You donate it, and your opponent has to pay the cumulative upkeep and eventually can't, and they take 20.
Okay. I'll let you mention the second thing in just a second. So fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Second way, and this had to do with the judging and tournament policy sensibilities of the time.
Okay.
All right, it's looking really bad for you. Like whatever's going on. They have a seal of cleansing. You can't combo out.
Okay.
Something.
Okay.
You donate the Necro. Your opponent is not used to playing with Necropotence. They draw a card for their turn.
Yeah, you lose.
And they get a game loss.
Yeah, you lose. You broke the rules.
I didn't break them.
Yeah.
The rules were broken and people identified it.
That would be peak competitive said.
Yeah.
Just waiting for you.
Yeah.
They made a red version of Donate. Most people probably know that card more than Donate, which is Harmless Offering. And you would Harmless Offering, I think it's Demonic Pact. But yeah, Donate Illusions was a whole thing. The deck was called Tricks.
Yeah. Well, there was a point where people had, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Pro Tour Chicago 2000.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. I'm trying to remember the story exactly, but there's basically Necropotence combo decks in the Pebbles sphere of Enduring Renewal, Goblin Bombardment, Shield Sphere.
Okay.
Really convoluted, but you had Necro in a combo deck. That was really good. And then you had some Japanese pros who showed up with mono blue Illusions Donate.
Okay.
No Necro.
Okay.
And it's like, if these two different teams had met each other, we're like, what if now you got something?
Yeah.
And then that deck was very, very good until bans happened.
So this is a slight extrapolation of that. This reminds me of a Pro Tour. I believe it was PT Austin that Kibler won with Big Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Dark Depths was around, and then Thought Foundry decks were around, and it's like, what if?
Yeah.
What if we found a way to put all these cards in one deck? Which I don't know exactly the first person to do it. I think Jerry T is the person. He's the person I think of first when I think of Dark Depths Thopter Foundry decks. Mostly because he's a very close friend of mine, but also he certainly wrote about it a lot during his like writing for whoever he was writing for at the time. Maybe Star City Channel Fireball. I don't know. But yeah, like those DDT decks would just destroy Extended for however long it was around. But
yeah. So I have a pretty good Illusions Donate story.
Okay.
So the deck was legal, like in Extended for a period of time.
Okay.
Just the best thing by far. Play with Mox Diamond too. It's just like so messed up.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Play whatever you want.
Round 1 of the PTQ at Neutral Ground in New York City.
Okay.
I make my own homebrew. It's basically a mono white. Maybe I was playing with Cataclysm or something.
One of my favorite cards.
Had all the Shadow Knights.
Yep.
Splashing black for Phyrexian Negator and Demonic Consultation.
Okay.
Round 1, pairings go up.
Okay.
Play paired against the one and only Michael J. Flores.
Okay.
Playing Illusions Donate.
Okay.
We get to game 3. Michael has Masticore out of the sideboard.
Oh, I think I know this story.
My board is a Sultari Priest, a Sultari Bunk, and a Phyrexian Negator.
So
Perhaps the worst board imaginable against Masticore.
That's 2 1 toughness creatures. That's something that really likes to get shot by Masticore.
So yeah. So Mike also has a Necropotence out.
Yeah.
Well, he's low though. You know.
Yeah. I know where this story's going.
So he untaps. We have a crowd. It's game 3. Mm-hmm. Round's almost over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I need Mike to not upkeep the Masticore, because if he doesn't upkeep the Masticore,
mm-hmm.
whatever he necros into, he's not going to get it on his turn, and I'm going to attack him for 9, and he's just going to die.
Yep.
But it's not clear if he's in his upkeep, because he doesn't have a draw step anymore.
That's also true.
So I'm sitting there just being like, don't do anything, don't do anything, don't do anything. Mike's in the tank. Can't tell if he's thinking about what to discard to Masticore,
mm-hmm.
or if he's forgotten and he's about to do something else. So Mike goes, okay, I'll play an Underground Sea. I'm like, okay, your Masticore's dead.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes, oh,
yeah,
and just scatters to the wind.
Yeah. See, first of all, great story. Second of all, here's what people don't know. Let me get on my little soapbox here. Here's what people don't know. So obviously there's first thing, you all know this is my last episode on the show. Okay, great. When you grow up in that Magic, first of all, so I'm younger than Patrick, obviously. I'm younger than Flores. I'm younger than those folks. But those are the people who I idolized, quote unquote. So those are the people, when you start going to like competitive Magic tournaments, like you mentioned the circle of people, mm-hmm. I would be one of those people that'd be watching like them play if I were there, right? Because like those are the good people, so I want to watch them play, right? And when you're reading on the dojo and all this other stuff, you're just like, oh, what happened in the games? And like you'll read like, I don't know exactly who wrote all this stuff. Like maybe it was Ted Knutson, maybe it was Ben Bleiweiss, maybe it was Rosewater, whoever, right? But you're reading like the match summaries. Right. Yeah. And so a lot of time when you read the match summary, it's like someone did something like that. And it's like, and their Masticore died, like all this other stuff. And like Patrick is very happy now. Right. Cause like that's what competitive Magic was. So when you grow up in that space where it's like, I need you to forget to discard to Masticore and then I can actually win this game. And so you're like frozen. You're just like, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to tip him off. I don't want to ask him for the upkeep. None of that stuff, right?
No.
I don't want to do a single thing, right? I need him.
Say less.
That's right. That's what the kids say now.
Less.
Say less. I need you to muff it. That's the only way I can win. And nowadays, what would happen is, you know, someone might say like, what stage of the game are we in? Or let's just say this is what would happen. Then Mr. Massacre triggered, they play their Underground Sea. Is that what you said? Underground Sea, Underground River? They play their land or whatever. And then like, you know, call a judge. They forgot to pay the upkeep on their Massacre. They didn't discard a card. And it's like, would you like to pay the upkeep on your Massacre and do this rewind stuff, right? And then they get to discard and fix in all this other stuff, which I'm not here to litigate if that's better or worse. I want you guys to understand something. And this is definitely coming full circle to the Esper Charm nonsense I see in the comments and everything all the time. It's what I was raised in. So it's not necessarily my fault. I'm not saying I'm not to blame, but like that story that Patrick just told, that's just common.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it was way back when, which is just like, I need this person who's destroying me to just miss something. And there's no, hey, we're going to put Masticore's trigger on the stack and fix it. It's like, as soon as he played the land, I imagine you like cut him off. It's like, that's dead.
Yeah.
That's gone.
The split second his land hit the table, I said, your Massacre's dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
And I also looked up because I was just looking down at my cards in hand.
Yeah, you can't look at him. You can't look at him.
No.
Yeah. That's gone. I can win the game now. And like,
I'll attack you with these creatures that are so pitiful against Massacre, it's a joke.
Yeah, these are the worst 3 creatures I could possibly have, but you bungled it. And also the thing I liked about back in the day.
At least Michael had the good sense not to try to donate his necro to me.
Sure. But like the thing I liked about back in the day is there's not even a conversation to be had.
No.
Right after that happens, I imagine I wasn't there. Mike
goes, yep, in the graveyard.
That's dead. Damn it. Just different time. Speaking of which, I want to go to. We got a couple more blue cards before we get to Phyrexian Negator. Opposition.
Yeah. Horrendous design that was sort of not appreciated for a while because Magic was not balanced around this sort of thing being good.
Yeah.
And it still was at times good during this period and then became cracked years down the line.
Even when they print versions of this card that aren't opposition, like Glare of Subdual, still too good.
Yeah.
Still too good. Because like Glare of Subdual is around the year when Magic was about creatures. Right. So it's like, yeah, sure, you can have your mana to cast more creatures that don't do anything.
Right.
That's fine. Right. So opposition, one of my favorite vintage cube cards of all time. Because for the people who are younger, who've never had the displeasure of playing its opposition,
they don't know.
And it's not like, oh, well, you need like 7 creatures with opposition. No, you need like 2.
Yeah.
And then every creature past 2 is just like, shit, I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's a ton. That's never being reprinted.
Talk about a card that raises the floor right on your draws. So like sort of the opposite of Metalworker of like, well, whatever I have interacts with their best stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
And also if their draw is a little shaky, maybe they got a little too creative with their trio mana base. Lock it up.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya. You're not casting anything. Thieving Magpie. This is more for you than me.
This was the first quote unquote good FNM level deck.
Yeah.
Actually played in some of the, neutral ground grudge match qualifiers with this thing. And the deck was not fun. Thieving Magpie, Masticore, lands, some mix of Powder Keg and Seal of Removal.
Okay.
Counter spells.
Yeah.
The end.
And it's not like 4 counter spells.
No, it's not. Counterspell, miscalculation, annul, thwart, foil. There's probably 1 or 2 other good ones. Daze. Daze was legal.
Yeah.
Forgot Daze. Yeah. The hell of a deck.
Yeah.
Won a foil deranged hermit with that thing.
Oof.
Up in North Jersey once.
Love it.
That was starting to get my reputation a little bit as, playing some away games.
Sure,
you got an LGS up in North Jersey.
Sure.
I will be there.
I'm coming through.
I'm coming for that hermit.
Yep. God, the good old days. Last blue card to mention is Treachery.
Really great stuff.
Yeah.
So something that I can appreciate about Treachery is It's kind of the same thing that I like about Rewind. Rewind's a much better design and much weaker.
I agree.
So much of the issue with the untapping lands designs in this block is how proactive they are.
Yeah.
Time Spiral is like, you can't get more proactive than that.
Yeah.
It's like, have all of your mana and 7 new cards. And even things like Snap and Cloud of Fairies can be played that way. Palancron, Great Whale. They're really not asking for any sort of timing sensitivity. They're not asking for your opponent to cooperate in any form or fashion. You just play them. And at least Treachery is a little mixture of timing sensitive and your opponent doesn't necessarily cooperate.
I agree.
So as far as an untapped 5 lands designs go, this is a lot better, oddly enough, than many in the block. That said, this is still an F- design. Horrible. Why do we need free control magic? Have you ever had 2 of these in your hand? If you know this from Vintage Cube, you might not appreciate the standard experience, which is I have 2 and it's just like this, and now I'm going to think about the rest of my turn.
Yeah, I've never had 2 before.
Oh,
because I've never lived in the life of this in standard.
I had an FNM opponent who was not a child cry against me.
Yeah.
Because of double treachery.
Yeah.
In tears.
Yeah. These are mine now.
Watching me beat them to death with their own Rashad airships or whatever the hell was going on.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to counter your next spell.
Yeah.
So
pretty
fun.
my leftovers are Thwart and Foil.
Yeah. So fun. I'm just going to hardcast those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I needed to, I could also, even if you had a way to interact with this treachery, which I know you don't, I actually have 2 Force of Wills ready to go.
Sure.
But I know you can't do anything about this.
Black cards. Start with Attrition, which I mentioned this because this card is the kind of card that you can't reprint. It seems like innocuous. You know, it's like Bone Splinters, right? I sack a creature and then kill their creature. It's like, no, actually, just like their creatures just don't matter anymore if you have creatures in your deck.
Yeah, it's the whole buyback thing.
Yeah.
A lot of experiences that are fine on a spell that are not fine as a new game rule.
Yeah.
Boomerang versus Capsize. Very good example of this. And Attrition has that. Like, yeah, this is not fun to have as a game rule.
When I used to play, we had a Vintage Cube League in Seattle for a couple of years, and I got notorious for drafting mono black. It was like, if anyone passes me Attrition, it's over. It's over. Like, because first of all, I'm the only black drafter. Mm-hmm. So there's no downside on Attrition. And it's like, I'm taking blood gas and all the idiots that come back and everything. It's like, this is it. All your creatures don't matter anymore. It's just really good in specific settings. It doesn't seem like it would be upon first glance, but yeah, this is the kind of card that like just can't be legal in standard or anything like that. Like you think it wouldn't be that bad. It's just like play Attrition. Cool. You better hope I don't draw any creatures because that just invalidates all your creatures the entire time. And then eventually I'll just kill you. It's just not very fun. Next one is the award winning in the future Carnival of Souls. I mentioned this because it's an award on our show. And it's one of the worst cards in Magic history. Though I want to believe, now that Magic's been around for over 30 years or whatever, that there's got to be a way to do something with this.
There is. In Vintage, people have occasionally, I mean, it's not the best thing to be doing by any respect.
Is it kobolds?
Yeah, kobolds and Carnival Souls.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Just go off.
Yeah, sure.
It's like a Scourge Familiar you don't even have to work that hard for.
That's true. Nothing would make me happier than a Carnival Souls deck being good in a format. But I don't even know what that
it's
would be.
It's not actually that much fun. It's just storm kills. The only thing that card is about is the storm kills.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It's not actually that interesting. It's novel because the card is so unappealing and so weak if you're just playing with a collection of normal cards.
Yeah.
But it's not actually that much fun.
Yawgmoth's Bargain we've already talked about at length, so let's get to the final black card of this section, which is Phyrexian Negator, which we talked about to close out our Urza's Legacy episode, and we've talked about a little bit here. We promise, and Patrick will speak to this more than I can in a minute, this card was very good.
Again, right place, right time.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan, place, right time.
No one, obviously it had some matchups where it was quite bad.
Yes.
But, this was a card that me and my younger brother and my next door neighbor laughed about when we saw it. This is so bad. And then we saw someone go, or I saw rather, they weren't there, but someone play against a mono blue opponent and go turn 1 Ritual Negator, turn 2 Rashad Port. And it was like, oh, they're locked. It's actually over. That's a lock.
See,
like, okay, maybe this is a little bit more complicated than I'm giving you credit for.
See, this is what this is one of many things that makes Magic great, because upon first reading Phyrexian Negator, the only thing that you're gonna do is think of all the ways that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna fixate on the ways that it's good, because it has a drawback, and so you're just going to focus on the negative and not on the whole, like, and obviously Dark Ritual is not a thing that happens in the frequency that it did back in the 90s, but like you don't really fixate on the whole, like, what happens if we just cast this on turn 1 or like against combo?
What if it's in my sideboard?
Yeah,
and I just bring it in sometimes against the people it's good against.
Yeah, that just people just aren't even remotely prepared for. Nowadays when you're playing in regional championships and stuff like that, they're open deckless tournaments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but one of the things back in the day, which again you can speak to a little bit better than I can, but I can speak towards some, is like the transformational sideboard is not effective. It is not as effective in 2024 as it was back in like 2004. Because if you didn't know negators were coming from the sideboard, you get juked by that, you're dead.
On the spot.
Yeah, it's over.
Really, so fast.
Yeah. Now, in an open tournament, like if I had Phyrexian Negators, like Goblin Rabble Master or something on my sideboard, I would look at that and just go like, hey, you're going to bring it in. I'm going to hedge and leave in like 3 removal spells or something, right? Something that like I can cover my bases against.
I've got a Planeswalker that's a value engine, but it can also interact with the creature. So if it comes up, great. And if not, it's not a dead card.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, that sort of thing, right? So like you can kind of protect yourself against this. But back when there weren't open deckless tournaments, information sharing wasn't as ubiquitous. It's just, I've been on the receiving end of like a tournament again. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, this is there's a important game design lesson here, which is just, it's because it's so unappealing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because Magic at the time is so combo centric, to the extent that people can play creatures, it's just an issue of, it's just a question of how much power against how much mana.
Yeah, sure.
And unfortunately, where that gets you to is all the creatures that show up in tier 1, to the extent they exist, are drawback creatures. It's Goblin Cadets. It's Phyrexian Negator. And there's no room for, hey, the 4-mana 4/4 with an ability that helps me? Where's that card?
Yeah.
First of all, they thought those cards were too good. And second of all, they weren't anyway.
Yep.
They would not have been.
Yep.
But Magic's design sensibilities at the time were such that, yeah, actually Negator is the card you should be interested in and not Ancient Silverback. It's not close.
Red cards. We got 3 of them. Sowing Salt we already talked about. There's not a lot more to discuss. It gets cast against someone like me playing Tron, and you're mad-ish, but you shouldn't be. Reckless Abandon. For me, first thing I saw when I saw this, I was like, yo, more Goblin Grenades. Because like when you're young, Goblin Grenade's like the coolest card. And you hope you draw 2 of them and deal 10 to someone. So it's like, this is just more Goblin Grenades. The thing is that it's not.
Well, yes and no. Definitely the difference between 4 and 5 is huge.
Big deal.
But also, Goblin Grenade is a cool name.
Yes.
And it had cool art.
Yep.
The story is so good.
Yep.
This is much more of an abstraction. It's just less viscerally satisfying.
I agree. It's like a worse Goblin Grenade in every way. It deals 1 less point of damage. It doesn't have as cool of art because like a goblin's not involved on it. It doesn't have as cool as flavor because goblins aren't involved with it. It like plays on the whole, hey, remember Goblin Grenade? You can sacrifice any creature now, but it's just not the same.
I think you could tap into something. I bet this card would be more beloved if it just had a different name. I think Reckless Abandon is describing an action or an emotional state.
Sure.
And what Goblin Grenade it has is the word grenade on it.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's just so much more satisfying.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
But yeah, I think this card is a good lesson about why do people gravitate to certain experiences or cards. It's the sum of everything. And Goblin Grenade just scratches an itch that this thing can't.
Covetous Dragon is our last red card. Whenever I think of this card, I just think of Kai and the Wildfire. I don't know what it was called.
Wildfire.
Is that what the name of the deck was called? Just Wildfire? Yeah, like Wildfire
red.
Yeah, just, you crank out a Covetous Dragon, cast Wildfire. Covetous Dragon has 5 toughness. Wildfire deals 4 to everything. So basically, Covetous Dragon is left standing alongside like a Grim Monolith or something and beating you to death pretty quickly because it deals 6.
This is another sort of, if you are coming into the game a little bit more recently, how would a card like this ever have been good? Especially in formats that are as high powered as I'm describing. And it's like, okay, there's just a bunch of sick artifacts. You want to be playing with them anyway. And then the fact that this is just such a smooth fit with Wildfire. Now you got a deck.
I'm Googling it really quick. Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, bunch of mountains, 4 Covetous Dragons, 4 Wildfires, and a boatload of artifacts. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Did this deck play Metalworker? I don't think so.
It did not.
No. Yeah, it was just like Dynamos, Keys, Monoliths, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Fire Diamond, 4 Grim Monoliths, 4 Temporal Aperture, 4 Dynamos, 4
Aperture,
Keys.
that's right. That's
Aperture. 2 Mishra's Helix, 3 Masticores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just Wildfire you out of the building.
Yeah.
Basically.
Manifesting is so bad you can't even splash for Tinker.
Yeah. I think Kai win a PT at this deck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I can't tell which PT it is, but yeah, he got
New
first
York,
place.
I think.
You might be right. Doesn't say on this website I'm looking at, but yeah, he won. Well, Kai won everything because he's Kai. Okay, green cards. Just a couple quick ones here. Compost, lame, but really good against black decks.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play in Blue Green Madness sideboard. Super fun. Elvish Piper.
Sweet. Really
Sweet
fun.
design.
Beloved.
Yeah. The Croc. Cool artwork. Not a good card. Great. Just another nice looking card like our Growthian Worm. Where it's like, look how big it is. Can't imagine ever losing when it's on the battlefield, and you'd lose really easily.
So easily.
Yeah. It's just never close.
Yeah.
Plow Under.
Yeah. Really underrated.
So, yes and no. Here's why I say that. I think Plow Under is a good card abstractly. I think like it got too big of a reputation in like Vintage Cube.
Definitely.
Of like, look at this cool. Like when it's good in those spots, it's really good. It's weird to see this card where it's like, oh, I just put like lands back on top of my deck. It's like, yeah, I just set back your mana and your draw steps, which is just not like it doesn't feel like a thing that green would do. Like when it's good, it's out of control good.
Oh, did you have an Echo you were trying to pay?
Yeah, there's also that. Yeah.
Well, don't worry. Maybe you'll top deck. Oh,
yeah. Guess what? I got your next 2 draw steps.
Well, there was a frame of reference for this because Stunted Growth going on all the way back to Ice Age, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Was 3 cards.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how could this be any good? And thinking about Stunted Growth is sometimes you don't have any cards in your hand.
Yep.
This is never going to not have targets.
Yeah.
And when Stunted Growth is good, it's not like I really needed to get the 3rd card.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
They were wiped out at 2.
Sure.
The third one's a nice touch. So Plow Under is just kind of at the close to the ceiling of Stunted Growth at all times.
Short story for my Ohio gamers out there. There's a few of you that used to PTQ with me back in the day during like the extended era in like 04, 05. There was a guy in Ohio. This is particularly for Kyle Bode if he watches this episode, but there's a guy in Ohio named Tom Wood. He was he was in Columbus or somewhere around Columbus, I'm pretty sure. He would only play Trinity Green and Extended.
Yeah.
He always wore the same German soccer jersey of Close.
Okay.
So we just used to call him Close. And he always would play Trinity Green with like Deranged Hermit, Plow Under, whatever the Squirrel Nemesis, Squirrel Wrangler.
Yeah, I know.
Whichever the one that searches up Deranged Hermit, Tangle Wire, like just that stuff. And he would just top 8 most of the extended PTQs with these bad green cards. But man, the man loved a Deranged Hermit and a Plow Under more than most. So just, this is what Magic brings. It just brings weird fond memories of like 04, 05, 20 years ago. Tom Wood, Close A jersey, bunch of Forest in his deck, gonna top 8 the Columbus PTQ. Probably won't win, but we'll definitely top 8. And he was a really nice guy. And I think maybe played on the Pro Tour once or twice. Rafellos was in the Trinity Green deck. I'm pretty confident. Oh, yeah. We talked about that enough. Yavmai Elder talked about that a little bit. And then I do just want to, I know we talked about it briefly, but like just Thorn Elemental, just cool.
Yeah.
Just part of what Magic's about. It's just like, is this card good? No. Is it cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
what
all.
What can they do about it?
Yeah. Take your 7.
It's the set and the sets around this need more Thorn Elementals, not fewer. And they need to be better, not as bad as they are.
3 artifacts. We've talked about Metalworker plenty, so that's 1. Powder Keg we haven't talked about. We see cards like this a lot now with like Ratchet Bomb or Engineer Explosives or whatever, but Powder Keg, pretty confident is like the OG of this style of effect.
Yes.
So I had like no notes. It's all a lot of play.
I played it a ton in Standard. Again, the game is just balanced around cheap permanents and cheap spells. So anyone who's doing any of the artifact, voltaic key, monolith sort of stuff,
Yeah.
Keg's really good against them. To the extent that you can play creatures, is a lot of just like flooding the battlefield with 1-drops and hoping to run someone down.
Yeah.
Powder Keg's very good against that stuff too. Doesn't hold up nowadays because I think Magic is just more correctly balanced around a spread of mana costs or in people's decks.
Yep.
But not the case at the time.
And then last, I know that we've talked, you've already told your Mastercore story, and I've waxed poetic on that. This is another instance of, if you started Magic in like 2018 or something, or during the pandemic on Arena, you'll look at Mastercore and be like, this seems fine. Probably nothing special. This card was outrageous.
The only thing you could play as far as creatures goes are 2/1s with drawbacks. No one can kill this. It's unkillable. That's it. Doesn't look like anything.
It really doesn't.
It's very good with Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're doing any sort of like green creature thing. This card was very busted at the time and unfortunately super repetitive. It was something that actually Eugene Harvey called out. He was just like, yeah, you have a deck and it does whatever it does. But then at some point you play Mastercore and now you're just playing the Mastercore game.
Okay, so this is great. I just Googled Trinity Green Tom Wood. Here we go. 4 birds, 4 elves, 4 Rofellos, 4 Living Wish, 4 Chalice of the Void, 3 Call the Herd, Eternal Witness, 3 Mastercore, 4 Poacher, 3 Deranged Hermit, 3 Plowunder, 17 Forest, 3 Rashidden Port, 2 Cradle. So even had you even said Mastercore Cradle. You just fire them down.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is for the mirror match.
He qualified.
Really good in the mirror.
He qualified for a pro tour with that deck.
That's awesome.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, Mastercore. I think that's one of those cards too that like that was like $20.
It was expensive.
It was like expensive. Yeah. And I remember wanting to have a play set, and I think maybe I got to like 2, something like that. But yeah, you would look at, when you think of Mastercores now, you think of, I know they've made like a couple over the past like 10 years or so. There's like Razormane Mastercore, Argentum Mastercore. I don't even know what they all do. They're all kind of trying to reference original Mastercore, and then Deep Analysis has like the Mastercore reference on it and the art on it and everything. But if you weren't around during the time, like your story said, like, you know, you have these 3 stupid creatures that are terrible against Mastercore, just hoping Flores forgets to discard a card, and it's just, that's what it is.
Doesn't look like anything, but you know, really powerful, and also color pie bleeding. Yeah. Which is another way for cards to show up, is it's a high rate and I'm playing white, so I can't get anything like this sort of effect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very, very true. All right, everybody. That's the trivia section, which means we are going to the award show for Urza's Destiny right after this. All right, everybody, it's time for your favorite part of the show, our favorite part of the show. It's everybody's favorite part of the show. It's the award show for Urza's Destiny. And we will start, as we always do, with the Oko Thief of Crowns Award for best card in the set. We have the same answer. It's boring.
Yeah, Yawgmoth's bargain.
Yeah. Super cool.
I mean, I think there are some standard formats where the answer would be treachery, but I think just over the whole arc of the thing, it's bargain, and it's not that close.
I would agree. Like, you could make an honorable mention for Mastercore, but
that's just so much just standards of the time.
Yeah.
Mastercore nowadays in standard, I think, would be somewhere between sideboard card for very specific matchups and unplayable.
You know what Mastercore would be? Uncommon.
And uncommon.
Yeah, that's what Mastercore would be, unfortunately. Carnival Souls Award for worst card in the set. Now, you think we would pick the name of the award, but we're not going to do that because there actually are some other similarly bad cards, and that's just too easy to do that. So I am going to select Fatigue. Do you know what Fatigue does?
Yes.
Oh, yeah? Go ahead.
Blue colorless sorcery. Target player skips their next draw step.
What an embarrassing card. I'm sorry. Doesn't even cantrip.
Well, it's memory lapses them. Like, it's card parity.
We agree.
Yeah.
It is that.
This card, if it drew a card, would be banned. I'm not kidding. This card is absurd with draw a card on it.
Can you imagine? Actually, that's really funny. Can you imagine? It's just like, all right, fatigue you, Snapcaster fatigue you,
Right.
and it's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
This isn't fun at all.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. If it did have draw a card, it'd probably be way too good. As it stands, I don't think it's any good. But that just goes to show you how much adding draw a card can ruin a thing.
On cheap cards?
Yeah.
Cheap spells?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm going to give my answer to Lurking Jackal.
You're changing your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so previously you had Scent of Brine.
Yeah, Scent of Brine I want to just bring up here because this is the set after Miscalculation.
Sure.
So it doesn't cycle. And if I have 2 other blue cards in my hand that I'm willing to reveal, now I get Miscalculation. The third one, now I'm at Mana Leak, which is standard and legal.
Yeah.
It's just so much worse than the analogs.
Okay, why are you going with Lurking Jackal?
Because this is not really what your beatdown deck is in the market for. Just like turn 1. Okay, now we wait.
Wait, you'll see. You know what this card actually? You know what? Slight pushback.
Like, when would this card be good?
Okay, so Lurking Jackal, single black. When one of your opponents has 10 life or less, if Lurking Jackal's enchantment, it turns into 3/2. This is what this card reminds me of. Sentry Snubhorn.
This is so much worse than that.
We agree. I'm just saying what it reminds me of. Old Snubby.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know Sentry, or it's Snubhorn Sentry, excuse me. Single white 0/3 ascend, which means if you have 10 permanents, you get the city's blessing. It turns into a 3/3. So some white decks played this at the time, which is like, turn 1 snubby, doesn't do anything. I'm obviously trying to beat down, and then like by turn 4, you probably have 10 permanents. Everything goes correctly. You can start beating down with it. So it seems like it's in the same space.
There's a big difference between an 0/3 and a nothing.
Okay, we agree there.
All right. That's really, and also, City's Blessing is like, am I winning when I get the City's Blessing? Ambiguous. I'm doing some stuff. You're doing some stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Clearly, if I'm trying to do it, I want to do it.
Yeah.
But just because I have the City's Blessing does not mean that I'm necessarily winning the game.
That's true.
Lurking Jackal is like, it only turns on when you're winning.
Presumably
when you're getting shellacked, it's just nothing.
It is bad. It is bad then. All right, no argument. Doomblade Award for best non-rare in the set. You selected.
I want to give a shout out to Eradicate.
Bang.
Really fun card. I mean, it is workmanlike insofar as, it has a purpose in terms of balancing a standard format or whatever, but it's also just really fun.
You know what I like about Eradicate?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sorcery.
Yeah.
It'd be lame if it was an instant.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a terrible one to make an instant just because of inside your draw step.
Yep, that's the one.
Hope that you just drew,
Yep.
Yeah, you're with that.
So stupid.
Yep.
I selected Thieving Magpie, a card that I have not really played much in my life, but it's a fun uncommon. And also, there weren't a lot of good selections for this. This set's a little dry for the awards. Oboro Palace in the Clouds Award for fun of one of in this set. I went with Yavimaya Hollow because it's the kind of card that you don't play multiple copies of, and you would play one of, and it would come up sometimes, and that's kind of neat. You selected
Academy Rector.
Sure.
Fun.
Yeah,
one copy is fun.
That's true.
4 copies sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're doing some pattern or rebirth, I'm doing this little weird stacky thing. 1 copy is fun.
Mystic Confluence Award for best vintage cube card in the set. Your answer is
Treachery.
It can be. I only say that because I think the selections for Mystic Confluence Award I think it's between 2 cards, and they both can be really good in certain situations. My selection is Phillips. Because it can be really good on turn 2. It's pretty bad late in the game, and then also you play it on turn 2 and it dies and it didn't do anything. Yeah, so they're both high ceiling cards, low floor cards. Smothering Tide Award for best commander card in the set. I selected Thran Dynamo, thanks to our friends over at EDH Rec. That's right. That's my fun mana. It's fun.
Has there ever been a card with any personality that has been the number 1 card on EDH Rec?
Okay, so in this instance, I will tell you what I think the second card was, because I was actually happy with the second card, but I decided to go with the first card because that's what I do. The second card was Urza's Incubator.
Okay.
Which is fun.
Cool.
The third card was Yavimaya Elder.
Okay.
Which is fun. So, but yes, the The Dynamo is in 236,000 decks. So there you go. Your selection.
Yavimaya Hollow.
Sure.
It's actually like fun. It's like you can do negotiations with it.
It's in 25,000 decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually like I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble again. It's actually a fun card.
Yeah, I know.
In a multiplayer setting. So I'm giving you, and it's not weak. It's colorless land.
It is not weak.
It's not weak.
That's true. The Pack Rat Yeah, Pack Rat Award for best limited card in the set. We have the same answer. Do you remember?
Masticore.
Okay.
Good luck with this one.
I assumed that's the best one.
You are not beating this thing.
There's part of me that wanted to pick Ancient Silverback, but this just seems like better Ancient Silverback.
4 for 4 is already like good luck.
That's a good deal.
This is nothing kills it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the black removal calls out non-artifact, non-black, and
sure.
Nothing deals 4 to a creature.
Also, you have to kill it right away, otherwise the shields are up.
Once tap in is just over.
Yeah,
and the type of removal, I think Magic nowadays is much more conscious about. We're gonna have Oblivion rings and that sort of thing at common. Some of our black removal, maybe it'll be overpriced, but it'll exile the creature instead of destroy it.
Yeah,
there's some backstops against the, what if this thing has some like crazy destroy trigger or regenerates or whatever. There's usually some stuff hanging around at low rarity that's like, oh, you can answer it with a few things. Yep. Back then it was like, no, it's no.
It's here to stay.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Go through the three sets of this block. You the listener are curious, and just try to count up the number of cards that could kill Masticore, like full stop, tapped out Masticore.
Sure.
And then find out how many kill 2 mana up Masticore.
So I'm just looking at black right now from this set.
Don't say Son of Nightshade.
I stopped myself.
And definitely don't say the Seer, because that thing is dead.
I stopped myself from Son of Nightshade. Too much would have to go right. Eradicate will do it.
Okay.
All right. Eradicate will do it. And that's an uncommon. So that's going to be tough. Well, wait. I bet Red's got some good answers. No. Yeah, just in this set alone, the struggle is real. Wow.
Yeah. You can reckless abandon it.
Okay. Yeah, true.
The creature's going to die anyway, so it's basically free. You have Keldon Vandal. Keldon Vandal can do it.
Yeah, when the shields are down.
Yeah. If they got mana up, though, lights out.
Yep, that's true. And then green has Splinter, which is not a card you would start, probably. Maybe you would. Artifact and enchantment set. I don't know. Your point remains. There's not something that's just like deal 4 to this. It can't be regenerated or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Magic just doesn't. You can argue whether or not modern sensibilities are a little too color pie bleeding, but at least they have rate as a balancing mechanism. The black cards and red cards that exile are often quite a bit weaker than the white ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in the day, I mean, yeah, you're still just looking.
Imagine if you were playing white. As I just looked at the white Urza Destiny cards, it's Lights Out Guerrilla Radio.
Oh, Mother of Runes.
Circle Protection Award for best Hosa in the set. My answer is Compost. A lot of fond memories of playing this as a Blue-Green Madness player against Mono Black Control when it was like Nantuko Shades and Mutilates and Innocent Bloods. And it's like, all right, we can do this if you want, but
yeah, I got all day.
Yeah. You're gonna run out eventually, and if I draw a second Compost, it's certainly over. So that's my selection. Yours is
Sowing Salt, not the most powerful by any means. Compost is miles better, but sometimes you have to give it to sometimes we talk about best and sometimes we talk about greatest, and they're two different things.
It's true.
This is a great hater.
It is. Lost to it plenty. Char Rumbler Award for weirdest card in the set. Do you remember your answer?
Was it Thran Lens?
Scrying Glass.
Scrying Glass.
It's
just like it's a call out to the Scent sub game.
Yeah, 2 mana artifact, 3 tap. Choose a number greater than 0 and a color. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. If that opponent reveals exactly the chosen number of cards of the chosen color, you draw a card. That's a lot of work.
I almost feel like no one could have played a game with this card before it went to print, because just on read, it's like, oh, well, they activate it next turn with most but not all of the information.
Yeah.
This is so boring and repetitive and annoying. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, this isn't fun at all.
Yeah. This is atrocious. Atrocious design and weird.
My selection's Goblin Festival. For those of you not familiar with this red card, it's a weirdo, like most red cards are in Magic. 2 mana enchantment. You can pay 2. Goblin Festival deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Flip a coin. If you lose the flip, choose one of your opponents. That player gains control of Goblin Festival. Sure.
Yeah.
I guess the nice thing is you can stack your activations. Right? So I can deal like 3 damage to something.
Yeah, it's like a Masticore.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing.
Basically. I mean, it is actually a weirdly similar design. Like a regenerating creature and an enchantment are kind of, they're both things that are hard to interact with.
Sure. It's basically the same card.
Basically the same card.
Memory Jar Award for what the heck were they thinking with this card in the set? Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
The problem is I kind of do know what they were thinking. What if we could put out a fixed Necropotence? It's like, first of all, don't spend your time doing that. Make a card that's fun.
Yeah.
Make a combat trick someone would play in a deck, for God's sakes. Start there. Second, wasn't fixed.
No.
Because you people can't help yourself from making a sea of show and tells and fast mana. And
I just like the idea of assuming this is the thought process, let's make fixed Necro, cost a bunch of mana, and then put Academy Rector in the same set.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. What if we could spend your time literally doing anything else? It would be more useful to make sure that the water cooler is filled up and then the next order is ready to come in.
Yeah.
Than spending any amount of time trying to think about a fixed Necropotence.
Well, they fixed it.
And then it went great. At least it was really like, okay, maybe it wasn't a great use of time, but at least it was like it ended up being successful. Do anything else with your time.
Blank Award for the best card name in the set. Your selection.
Thieving Magpie.
Mm-hmm. Give me that.
The art also helps a lot.
It's really good.
It's feathering its nest.
Yeah, it's really good.
Just like I do.
I've selected Taunting Elf.
Great name too.
Is a fun card and also saw some light constructed play.
Mm-hmm.
Back when Elves was really good. It was a way to break through in the Elves mirror.
Yeah.
Which I remember.
Yeah.
You need a way to get through.
Mm-hmm.
So taunt you real good. John Avon Award for best land artwork in the set. There can only be one answer because there's only one land, and that is Yavimaya Hollow. So we move on to the Aurelius Fury Award for most overhyped card during preview season. I don't have an answer because I wasn't around then. Patrick, you appear to have one.
There's a couple of good candidates here. What did I tell you initially?
You initially selected Raphelos.
Yeah. I mean, that was a card, and then that card's not weak. It's really good. Very, very splashy, but Magic is just not about this sort of thing at the time. It does actually pivot pretty quickly into having a tournament home, but at first it was, a lot of money at pre-release time, but ultimately was quiet for a little while.
And now, our final award is the Tarmogoyf Award for most underhyped card during preview season. You selected
Masticore with a lot of competition.
Again, I wasn't around during the time, but I will make an educated guess and say that Phyrexian Negator was not understood
right
during the time.
Yeah, because again, it's just the whole goal here from the designer standpoint is figuring out how they can make the most unappealing cards powerful.
Yeah.
It's like it's like an inside joke. So much of this is that. And so we're going to have a lot of competition for the most underrated card during preview season, because there's going to be a bunch of cards that a normal human being would look at and go, I don't want to play with this.
Sure. But guess what? This one's actually good.
32 copies in the top 8. Maybe you should have played with it.
Yeah. This one's really good, actually.
Yeah.
That does it for the award show, which means we have one thing left to do. All right, everybody, it's time to close this show down and give out some final grades. But before we do, you are going to learn more about Coalesce Apparel and Design.
You can head over to coalesceapparel.shop, the #1 store for Magic the Gathering inspired apparel, to check out their selection of shirts, hoodies, stickers, playmats, and a whole bunch more, including their brand new Devoid collection to celebrate Modern Horizons 3 and Resleevables merchandise meant for the loyalist of Jackal Pups. When checking out, be sure to use gift code Resleevables to get 10% off your entire order. Coalesce Apparel and Design, nobody made what they wanted, so they made it themselves.
Alrighty, partner. What card won the set for you and why?
You know, hey, you have your answer up front and then you kind of go back and review and it's different.
It's kind of like the best part, honestly.
I want to call out Yavimaya Elder.
Okay.
There's so much just like garbage in this set. Just
There's
cards that are really unappealing, have no purpose. To the extent that there's powerful stuff going on, it's just drawback stuff. You know, the usual.
Yep.
It's Magic 1999. It's just how things are done. And here's a design that's like really appealing.
Okay.
If you're a casual player, it's like, oh, this is sick. There's a bunch of synergies with the card that a more advanced or competitive player can appreciate.
Okay.
It is actually a useful execution of the cycling in play thing that this set is going for. And the card is very powerful, but on the other side of it, you never feel like you lost to it. It's a lot of value for the other person, but they had to be really working hard to convert the lands into something that's useful. It's possible, but you know, it's pretty rare you walk away from the table being like, I lost because they drew 2 Yavimaya Elders.
Yeah, it's like
unless you're playing like a land destruction deck, in which case, like, good. I'm glad you lost.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a feeling that you would take away from a match, which is, man, I couldn't overcome those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a really good role play.
But there's a lot of ways that the puzzle pieces can interlock where you know, as the person playing with it, that's actually what would be my opponent.
I should have picked Yavimaya Elder for Doomblade Award. Dummy. My winner is card that won this as Mastercore. As you probably know, I'd lean towards like power level and how iconic the card was and all other stuff. And I actually picked this over Bargain because Mastercore has like a heck of a tournament resume. Not to say that Bargain doesn't, but also Mastercore influenced the design of future Mastercores. Mm-hmm. And also the whole thing with like the deep analysis artwork and this specimen must be broken and or whatever the flavor text is and everything else. I think it's just like kind of a cool card that was initially overlooked, and it's like, whoa, this thing's actually just like really good. And there's like a lot of stories that come along with Mastercore, but also when I was young, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I wanted to own 4 of them really badly. I don't think I ever got to that point, like I mentioned. But I view this as just like, man, this card's so powerful.
Oh, it was definitely an icon of the era.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as it got worse, it's like one of those, it's like, it felt like to me, because like I played it in, I think I played it in an extended Psychotog deck that I top-aided with in Columbus, Ohio, circa like 05. And I think I had like 1 copy in the board or like 1 copy in the main deck or something. And it reminded me of it's like when an athlete's past their prime. And it's just like, no, man, like Mastercore's still good. It's like, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it could be good in like these certain spots. It's like when you like bring like an athlete like off the bench. It's like there's spots where like Russell Westbrook could still be good or something. It's like, no, there's not. But you know, you kind of want to see it happen. Then when he has like a throwback game, you're like, see, it's like, well, okay. You know, that's how I feel about Mastercore. Like I wasn't around to play it during its prime, but I put it in some decks and I was like, I just want this thing to be good. I just want to say I was part of like getting to cast Mastercore in a real way. Never got to do it in the ways that like Kai and all these great pros that we think of with this game during this era. But I've gotten to do it. I've gotten to cast a Mastercore and have it be good-ish in a game. Yeah. That's good enough for me.
My experience with the card was a lot more. I saw it at the peak.
Yeah. Like I would have loved, well, I don't know if I would have loved it because I was hyper competitive and a jerk when I was young, but like it would have been fun to be a part of like someone casting Mastercore and just being like, all right, I'm dead. Mm-hmm. You know, like, cause that feeling is kind of fun sometimes where it's like, man, there it is. And I can't beat it.
I mean, it was one of those self-correcting things, you know, almost like, Umezawa's Jite and Champions block.
Okay.
Of like, this card is such a singular power level outlier that everyone is sort of focused on either ignoring it or winning fights where we each have it.
Yep.
That it actually kind of balances itself out in a sense. But the cards that people play with are all through the prism of, does this line up the right way against this card?
It's like the FTK test or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the exact same thing. Yeah, Mastercore was just like, I'm here and you have to do everything around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which you don't see that a ton. And Umezawa Shite is a really good example of that too. Another one that people they just don't know. They just don't know. All right, I'm going to give the greatest set. I'm going to give it a 3. This set's pretty bad. They didn't expand upon any of the mechanics in any meaningful way. I know we gave some praise to Hunting Moa, but for the most part, Cycling and Echo aren't really expanded upon in any meaningful way. The cycles basically suck. There's one good cycle, like the Eradicate Lobotomy style cycle. You can argue about how good of a cycle that is, but for the most part, the cycles stink. Doesn't really feel like there's much of a story being told here in the set either. There's some random power level outliers like Bargain Massacre, Treachery. There's some really non-fun cards that we didn't really even mention. Like Temporal Adept.
Yeah.
That card's not fun for anyone.
Yeah, that's it's like the rare seer.
Yeah. It's just
you got one turn to kill this thing.
Yeah, it's just capsize with buyback on legs.
Yeah, I had that in the sideboard of my mono blue deck at times for mono green.
Yeah, there's some random cards in here that are just pretty lame, not fun. Why are they here? Negator is a weird card, sure. I don't know. It's weird to describe that as good. It's just weird and as a product of the times. As much as I can appreciate getting quashed, the feel bad on it can be horrible. Replenish is once you learned what the joke and the goal was with Replenish, nothing fun about that card, I'll tell you that much. You're just kicking people's ass with that thing. So I'm just trying to look for what's the redeeming fun stuff from the set. It's pretty muted. And then, like I mentioned, there's some real power outliers here that really just kind of hover over the set in a huge way, which is all people probably really think about when they think of this set. So nothing special, kind of a flattening end to Urza's Block, which really ramped up the power. And then this set had, like I said, a couple power level outliers and then a fart noise after that. So I give it a 3.
I give Urza's Destiny a 2.
Oof.
So it's not the set's fault that Echo and Cycling do not lend themselves to a lot of design space.
Okay.
And so if you want to not do very much of that, totally understandable. There's just no fun cards in here. I mean, other than the cycle of the Eradicate cycle and a couple random creatures here and there, it's just where are the fun designs? Just where's the cards that even would inspire much creatively?
Yeah.
Pattern of Rebirth, arguably that. Academy Rector is arguably that. But the intersection of not fun meets nuts and bolts is really rough.
Yeah.
You can there are sets where, I think New Phyrexia is a good example of this, of it's playing with fire. The set's not balanced around the right stuff or whatever.
Yep.
But there's at least a creative expression. There's an experience they're trying to tap into.
Sure. I mean, they're telling a story.
Right. They're telling a story. That's another good call out. Here it's there's just nothing. What are you supposed to sink your teeth into?
Yeah, I agree.
The set barely tells a story creatively. And there's a bunch of just not fun designs. I don't know how else to really put it.
Well, to me, I'm burning my stupid allergies here for a second, but to me, it's just a bunch of cards.
Yeah, it's a bunch of cards.
It's just a bunch of cards.
Here's an interesting test. What's the largest non-rare creature? I think it might be Mantis Engine or the Juggernaut.
The Extruder?
The Extruder.
All right, I'll check the tape. Mantis Engine 3/3. Thran Gullum 3/3.
Non-rare.
No, my bad, you're right. Extruder 4/3. Because you're just looking for a big dumbass.
Just a thing that would make a game of Limited fun to play. Or get it over with.
Plated Spider's a 4/4.
Okay.
Yeah, beat that. 5 mana 4/4. You said non-rare. Okay. Hang on. Look, there's not a lot of cards to go
It's just
through.
like, how are games involving these cards any fun at all?
Yeah, sure.
Or make you, and if not that, at least inspire you creatively.
Skittering Horror is a 4/3, but that card's not fun.
There's basically a handful of powerful cards.
Do you think
That's it.
the biggest card is blue or white? Non-rare? No.
It's got to be the spider.
Yeah, I think it's just Plated Spider at 5 mana 4/4. That's it for a non-rare.
I mean, just shuffle up a game with commons and uncommons of this set. There's got to be some way to like randomly generate it.
Yeah, it's not,
and see what that's like.
Probably not very fun.
Horrible.
Yeah, probably not very fun.
So, I mean, the level of creative inspiration is not there, and it's not balanced out by a sufficiently fun set of designs or architecture that makes sense, or expansion design space that lends itself to future revisits of the mechanic. There's not a lot here.
Scoreboard. Let's go to it. Started with Alpha Beta Unlimited, Arabian Nights, Antiquities Revised, Legends of the Dark, Fallen Empires, jumping around to Chronicles, Alliances, Mirage Visions, Little Portal, Little Weatherlight, Stronghold Exodus, Unglued, and then the Saga block. I started with Urza's Saga to 7. You gave it a 3. Legacy, I gave a 6. You gave a 7. And Urza's Destiny a 3. And then you gave it a 2. The famed Saga block. I don't even know what to say.
Well, there's the interesting experience of, as a player, and especially a tournament player, you just remember the power level outliers. And some of them, if you're a legacy player, for example, Gaia's Cradle is still part of your experience.
Yeah.
So you remember, the Billboard top 25 or top 50, however you want to call it.
Yeah, sure.
And then when you actually go through the work of sludging through the sets and looking at the cycles and the lower rarity stuff, it's like, wow, there is not a lot to be fond of.
A bunch of rubbish.
Power level all in the wrong spots, and how many pump spells that add power and toughness to at least one of your creatures are in the block.
I can't answer that question. I'm going to assume it's not very
barely many.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the most rudimentary fun in Magic.
Yeah.
Mana up, got some stuff in play. I got a trick. You got some mana up, and we're just playing this game within a game.
Yeah.
It's like, because I got mana up and you know that I have it. So you're thinking about the tricks, whatever. And it's like, ignoring that experience, just being like, set aside even color pie definition of just yeah, we don't believe this experience is important enough to the game such that we don't even think about putting pump spells in.
Sure.
That is I know it's, you got to kind of get underneath the floorboards a little bit to pull up this analysis or have this sort of understanding of the sensibilities. And it's like, the people who were making these sets didn't think Magic was fun. That's why they make sets that are just all it is 30,000 mana on turn 1 and combo kills and stuff.
I think the only pushback I would have to that is I think they had a different idea of what fun was. Which was what's the super splash thing I can do as fast as possible?
What's or you're catering to a very particular audience or whatever.
Yeah.
If you were designing Magic, one would hope you would think of putting pump spells in your set.
Yeah. Because
pump spells are fun and limited is a thing that you do. Where are they? Well, the people making the set didn't think that this was important.
Yeah.
So what were they focusing on instead? How can we make a fixed necropotence?
Yes. Yeah.
Stop doing that and put a giant growth in the set, for God's sake.
Yeah. I also think their opinion is influenced by, again, this is not the information era. So, the information that they're getting, this is an assumption by me, of course. The information that they're getting is probably lacking, right? The information that they're getting or the feedback they're getting is probably by going to the Pro Tour. Or going to the competitive tournaments at the time. It's just oh, well, this is succeeding, so we just have to do more of what this looks like. And it's you're not talking to the people who are non-competitive. And it's well, what do you enjoy about Magic? And it's well, pump spells and these various interactions and all this stuff that you see way more of now.
Yeah, I love getting killed on turn 1. I love being locked by Masticore.
It's super fun.
I love my opponent playing Yawgmoth's Bargain on turn 2 and then it taking them 17 minutes to kill me by making enough mana through their Scourge Familiar. That's the stuff I love.
Give me more of that.
I love looking at spoilers and seeing a fixed deck opponents and not sure if it's fixed or not, and then it's not. I like that a lot. This is fun. This is like what makes Magic fun.
That's Magic, baby. All right, everybody. Let's shut this episode down. This is my final shutdown here. Sad times. Sponsorship call outs. Here we go. First of all, you can subscribe to this channel on YouTube at youtube.com/theresleevables, where you can find out, you can find the most recent episodes of the show, including all of Urza's Block right now, and everything that we just discussed to close out this show. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. That's what the YouTube comments are for. You can find snippets of the Unsleeved podcast, and you can always watch our Crack-a-Pack videos as well. We have one for Urza's Destiny coming soon. Subscribe on Patreon is another thing you can do at patreon.com/theresleevables. You get access to early releases of both the Resleevables and the Resleevables Tournament Edition. Access to the Unsleeved podcast, which is the Patreon exclusive podcast for the brand, and access to early releases of our Crack-a-Pack videos and the ability to win the second pack in the Crack-a-Pack. So you, if you sign up, here you go. If you sign up for the $10 or $25 tier, you could win a Rapid Decay.
I wonder what the biggest hit is in here.
I can tell you. Put me on the spot like that.
I'm guessing it's the rare, whatever the highest representation rare is in EDH.
Well, duh.
So maybe, is it foil Yavimaya Hollow? Could that be it?
They do make that in foil. I keep forgetting that because we're in that stage. Okay, let's see. Is foil Yavimaya Hollow your official guess?
It's the best guess I have.
All right. Foil metal. Oh
Metalworker.
God.
Of course.
Foil Metalworker's $1,000?
Jeez.
Who's casting this card? I guess that doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Everyone's dollar is worth about $1.
Yeah.
No account for taste.
Yeah. Who is casting this card? Academy Rector Yavimaya Hollow.
Hollow is for okay. That's not.
Hollow's
I
third.
feel okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Feel okay about that.
Okay. Next, you can follow the Resleevables on Twitter at the Resleevables. Easy enough. Tales of Adventure, Eternal lives over there. You can use promo code Resleevables for 5% off of your order. Coalesce Apparel and Design, you can use the promo code Resleevables at checkout for 5% off of your order. And for Brian Colville, Bosch and Roll, his YouTube channel, where he plays Eternal every weekday, you can go and watch his channel at youtube.com/Bosch and Roll. All right, everybody. So what's next? Well, if you saw my announcement on Twitter, you know that I've already said it multiple times in the show, and there's a disclaimer up front. This is my last episode on the Resleevables. I am Wizards of the Coast bound. So we recorded this episode before I have headed to Wizards of the Coast. I'm here in Denver recording in our studio. So thanks for hanging out with us for all these episodes of the Resleevables Tournament Edition, Crack-a-Pack, and we did like that. We did the pre-Sleevables for a little bit. That wasn't very long, though, but worth giving a shot.
Well, a lot of work and not a lot of views.
That's
But hey, you find out as you go.
Hey, you got to try some stuff. So that's
all
fine.
good.
And then, I think I mentioned Unsleeved already. And so I think we did like 75 episodes of the podcast. I think this is episode 25. I think it's either 24 or 25, the Resleevables, and like 6 or 7 tournament editions, all their stuff. But as I mentioned in my departure announcement on social media, on Twitter, I'm gone. He's staying. Show's going to keeping on. So for me, it would mean a ton if you guys continue to support the show for this guy over here. And because even though I'm leaving, unfortunately, I'm leaving at like the worst time because like a bunch of awesome sets are coming up. So I'm really sad about that. There's like Mass Block, there's Invasion Block, there's Odyssey Block, a bunch of cool shit coming. So keep watching the show.
Well, actually, if we're going to go by the timeline here, by the time this episode is up, I'll have already recorded the first podcast with Patrick Chapin.
There you go.
And so it will be known Patrick Chapin will be stepping in to fill Cedric's role, or I'll be filling Cedric's role, and Chapin will be filling my role, or we'll
someone will sit here, someone will sit there.
Yeah. Obviously you and I have been working together in various forms and fashions for too long, as it turns out.
That's right. 12, 13?
So
13 years? Too long.
I'm sure that I speak for all the viewers that replacing you is impossible. Things will be different, and I'm committed to doing this and doing it well, and there'll be variations and experiments along the way, but this could have never happened without you, and I happy for you that you're going to have an opportunity to continue to influence the game and make your mark on Magic, even if it's not going to be doing this podcast and this video series.
Well, I appreciate it very much. We'll see what happens. You never know what the future holds. Am I going to be back here one day? I don't know. But for now,
look, we're going to find out.
Yeah. For now, I'm going to go up.
All doors are open.
I'm going to go up to Renton, Washington. I'm going to go work on Magic in a way I've never worked on Magic before or thought I ever would. So for those who don't follow me on Twitter, first of all, good job by you.
Those play designers in shape. Yeah, put a fun card in the set. Put a fun card in the set.
I'll put at least.
Stop trying to figure out how to print Wasteland. Kind of for Giant Growth.
I was going to say, I'll find ways to get Giant Growth in the set.
Beautiful.
And if there's a new Armageddon that happens to slide through the door, I just want everyone to know that was me. I found a way. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly Armageddon, but if there is some sort of Armageddon adjacent effect, that was probably.
It's funny. With my time over there, I got DMs the minute that Rolling Vortex got spoiled. This had to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's some way to get Armageddon into the set, and it's even remotely good, then I feel like I accomplished at least something in my tenure at Wizards of the Coast. But I'm sure we'll talk about that at some time.
Look, as we've learned going through these old sets,
yeah,
the goal of working on Magic is to make yourself feel clever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to make a game that's fun. It's to tell inside jokes with your friends.
That's right.
So
you guys,
we're rooting for you.
You guys want to play? You guys want to play competitive Magic and complain? I'll give you something to complain about. You don't get to play any of your spells anymore. Mm-hmm. That's my dream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and me for the past, I don't know, almost 2 years doing this show. And then the previous version of the show during the pandemic as well. Means a ton. And like I said on my Twitter video, I'll see ya when I see ya. Thanks for watching. Was someone in charge of the dozo? Was someone in charge of the dojo?
Yeah, Frank.
Frank.
Kuzmano? Or
I don't know.
I want to edit this out because I don't exactly remember the pronunciation of their last name.
Okay, we'll restart this section with me asking, was someone in charge of the dojo? In 3, 2, fun. Words, graphic, and then to us. So there you go. All right, here we go. That's okay. I think I have to think about it every time, so I'm a fucking idiot. All right.